toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking, American. This magazine, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only. You ain't got no membership. They free. General Flynn out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the run know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement.
Maria Herrera Vega, and I'm the mother of Marine and Border Patrol agent Javier Vega Jr. Our son, who went by Harvey, was murdered August the 3rd, 2014.
My name is Chris Odette. I'm an angel father. My daughter Krisha was killed September 12th, 2014 by an illegal alien in Rockwall, Texas.
This is my son Ryan and his girlfriend, both poisoned to death by illicit fentanyl. I can't bring my son back, but we are doing all of this to save the future Americans from being poisoned to death by fentanyl.
My name is Agnes Gibney. This is my son Ronald Da Silva, who was murdered by a previously deported criminal illegal alien gang member.
My name is Angel Mom Miriam Mendoza. This is my son, Sergeant Brandon Mendoza of the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, who was killed on May 12, 2014 by a repeat illegal criminal. Thank everybody in this administration for finally paying attention to criminals who harm Americans.
We thank the Trump administration from the bottom of our hearts.
Without them, there would be no justice for my daughter.
We're finally getting some justice in this country for our children.
This right here is what should be living here in America, not criminals that are coming in right now.
Today, I signed an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at an airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country. As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want. We're also adding a very important exit bonus for illegals to further incentivize their self-deportation. This deportation bonus will save American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. What Biden did to this country can never be explained, will never, ever be accepted. Eventually, when the illegals are gone, it will save us trillions of dollars. However, if illegal aliens choose to remain in America, they're remaining illegally and they will face severe consequences. Illegal aliens who stay in America face punishments, including significant jail time, enormous financial penalties, confiscation of all property, garnishment of all wages, imprisonment and incarceration, and sudden deportation in a place and manner solely of our discretion. So to all illegal aliens, book your free flight right now. We want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, good evening, Ruby. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I am good. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in this evening.
Yeah, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. John Marciano, Steen One, Buttermilk Dallas, Leonard, JG, Beverly, Jerica. Who else? Rosie, Janine. Everybody's here.
Yeah, you guys might want to share this stream tonight because there is a lot of information that we're going to be sharing this evening. It is a jam-packed show. It's definitely going to go 4 hours.
Yes. So everybody buckle up and get ready. We're going to be here till midnight Eastern time.
At least.
At least. Yeah.
We'll try to move quickly. So hopefully, everybody's got, especially when we get into the 16-year plan stuff, hopefully everybody's got something to write with, take some notes, because there's going to be a lot of information put out.
Yeah. And I think we've heard this many, many times, the 16-year plan. So I'm glad that Jimmy is going to at least do half of that tonight. And we
Yeah.
might do a part 2. So we can get straight into the news, or do you want to go straight into the 16-year plan?
Well, first off, I want to address one concern that some folks have had concerning Operation Spotlight. For the folks that are friends with Monica and Shelley, you notice that they both put out this week that they were going to be taking some time off. I got news back to me that there was speculation and rumors starting. So I want to go ahead and squash those now. There's nothing nefarious going on. Basically, what happened was Monica's got some health issues. Her husband's dealing with some health issues. Shelley, of course, is dealing with her stuff. She just got done with a court situation that really drained her energy mentally. So both of them have decided that they just needed to take a break from social media, focus on their own mental health, and get stronger. So anything that you hear that is opposite of what I just said is fake news.
All right. Thank you for that, Jimmy. All right. People are still entering the chat.
Let's go ahead and address those 2 videos that you played at the beginning real quick.
Yes.
There's this whole thing with self-deportation. This is a great idea. And the reason why this is another countermeasure against the deep state, because what the deep state is wanting to do now is they're wanting to give due process to illegal aliens, which means that each person that came over the border, they would have to have a court date. Now, they came into the country illegally, so they are not citizens. And the Constitution only allows due process for an American citizen. But the deep state's trying to play with the words and everything and use the mainstream media to get emotions running high. So everybody will think, well, no, that's not fair. You just can't kick them out. They need to go to court and da-da-da-da-da. Well, the figure, I don't even know how many crossed over, 12 million or something like that. Huge number. So if you sent every one of those illegal aliens to court, what can you do? 10, 15 cases a day? I don't know. But somebody extrapolated it out and said it would take like 150 to 175 years to get through all the court cases.
Oh, hell no. No.
Exactly. So that's why Trump put the executive order out for self-deportation. So that's a defensive maneuver against the deep state to crush what they were trying to do. So there's that.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, just the fact that they were let in is already a violation to all of us.
Yeah.
As citizens, as a government, as a border. It just goes against literally everything of what a country is supposed to be. And that's why I played both clips, is the families that have lost someone, that those people would be alive here today if it wasn't for an illegal alien entering this country and committing murder.
True. That's absolutely true. I mean, we talked about that last week with the guy that wanted to do an attack at a Lady Gaga concert. You know, he got deported from the United States and then went down in Brazil and did what he did down there. And so, who's to say, he wouldn't plan to do something like that at one of our huge events, sporting events or concert or something like that.
So, and we do talk about this a lot. I mean, it's an ongoing issue until we get it under control in our country. But I recently saw another video from another YouTuber. The channel's called CO Visit. And he gave a personal story of his own immigration problem with his wife. And I was listening to the story very intently so I can understand people who have actually gone through it, right? How they want to bring their husband or their wife legally into this country.
Correct.
And if anybody remembers my stance about it, I'm like zero immigration. I don't care if it's legal or illegal, right? But as I'm listening to this story, I'm putting myself in another person's shoes and I'm trying to understand how it would be like if you married somebody who's not from this country but wants to bring them over and what that process looks like, right?
Right.
And even in that video, he describes how hard it was even to bring someone who he already married. He's American. Why can't he bring his wife to this country? And that in that moment, that's when I changed, like mentally, I changed my stance that I would only be in support of immigration if it was for a husband or a wife. If it was in a marriage, I would support it because I'm for traditional values, the nuclear family. So I was thinking, you know what, maybe I can change my stance right now, like listening to somebody else's story, that if it was in support of a marriage, of a family, you know, he had a child with this woman, he married her, why couldn't he bring her to his country to become a resident? So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, they
in
do
the-
make it very. They do make it very difficult for someone in that situation to come in the country illegally. But they will just open the damn doors and give money and hotel rooms and EBT cards to all their illegals.
Right.
So there's definitely an issue there, and it definitely does need to be fixed. It kind of reminds me of, you know, like abortion and adoption. You know, so much money is spent on abortion, but not a
Right.
lot of attention has been given to adoption. So here again, we have so much money going towards the illegal aliens and not enough money or whatever going to helping folks that want their spouse to come into the country legally. So
Right.
so that needs to be fixed.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. All of it needs to be fixed. The whole system needs to be, and until it is fixed, we need zero. That's my point. It's like we need to go down to zero, fix the internal problems before we start opening up again to
well,
anything.
I mean, you can liken that to your own house, and let's just say your money for that situation. Let's say people keep wanting to borrow money from you, keep borrowing money from you, and then eventually you get to a point where you're like, oh crap, I got to shut everybody off right now because I'm getting kind of low and ain't nobody paying me back. So I've got to take care of my house. I got to get my stuff built back up before I can say, hey, I can be able to help you out and not expect anything in return. So the same situation, we need to make sure that, you know, we do secure our borders, clean up our country, get rid of crime. Look at El Salvador. Their crime rate has gone down, 95% in the last year and a half. They're one of the safest countries in the world now because they cleaned up their streets and got rid of this illegal immigrant or these gangbangers and stuff like that. So I just don't understand people that are like, oh, I'm pro immigration. Let's let everybody come in. Would you let every stranger come into your home?
No.
Your own personal home. Would you do that? No. I mean, I know why they are that way. It just baffles my mind sometimes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because I saw those videos that Trump has been talking about it. Trump has been talking about a lot of stuff. I don't know if you saw when he mentioned about the refugees, I guess, or from South Africa. Did you see that? That some people were coming over here.
I must have missed that one.
Okay, so
there's so much stuff that's happened in the past week.
Yeah,
we're not going to be able to cover everything. We got the news blast, and there's a lot of stuff in there, and kind of ties into some of the big stories. But you got crap going on in India and Pakistan. Trump visit to Saudi Arabia. If you're not paying attention to that, shame on you, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. Then you have, then we had the new Pope this week. That's a whole nother story there.
Yeah, that's problematic. There's just so much we got to get into, and I hope I hope everybody in the chat is ready to give your opinion, because for the first time I am like conflicted. I don't even know how to feel about this right now. It's like I have to consult somebody. Like, what's your opinion on this before I start saying something?
Well, see, and that's one thing that you have to do in this, we call it the Great Awakening. I know that when I first started down all these rabbit holes and everything, I was at that point where like, man, I don't even know what to say right now. I got to talk to somebody and find out what's going on and have them explain to me, okay, what's going on here. And so, and even now, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that the media will just jump all over and put it out and make it propaganda, and people will freaking fall for it. It's like this whole plane thing from Qatar. Oh, they are losing their minds over this. And the executive order that he signed yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, wanting to slash the prescription drug prices from 30% to 80%. And people are losing their minds over that. But especially the ones that are in the Senate. And if you look at my Facebook page, I put up a post last night. Ooh, this might be good to do that. I put up a post last night to say from 1994, I think it was 1994 to 2024, I think it was over $94 million. If I'd have to see my post, but $94 million that Big Pharma contributed to senators, right? Republican and Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of freaking money. And then I also followed it up with the amount of money that each senator was given. Now, it's open for discussion on where that money went and everything, but still, they are buying influence.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try to log into my Facebook now. For some reason, I don't know my password anymore.
Oh, Lord.
So I am gonna have to learn how to log back into my own Facebook.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man, I hate when that happens. Oh, and we need to kind of stall for about 10 minutes because Carissa she started a new job at the Toyota plant and as a plant nurse, and she's on third shift right now.
Oh,
and yeah, and it is completely thrown off our schedules. Completely thrown off our schedules. But we're, hey, it's only been like two or three nights now, so we're getting used to it. And I think she just unloaded some stuff in her car, so she's going to come out here in a minute.
Okay, no problem. I could do a little story time because this week the last 4 weeks, I went to hell and back. Okay. I mean, you guys already know about the hospital stuff that I had to deal with and all that. Okay, I just logged into my Facebook. Thank God. I had to change my password.
Yeah, and then once you get there, go to my page and just look at that post. I put it up last night.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. All right, everybody, we are on Jimmy Bell's Facebook page. Let's see, what did you put?
Who knows?
May 13th, geopolitical report.
No, keep going.
You tagged me on something here.
Yeah. That's
Something
about art. That's about art. Hey, after we're done talking about that, scroll back up to that video. Go to that one, play that one after we show that post because that's funny.
Okay, so the one with the ring or something.
Yeah, it's just funny. I think that's
here
it.
We go. The pharmaceutical industry contributed approximately $94 million to U.S. senators from 1990 to 2024. This includes PAC and individual donations of $200 or more, with Democrats receiving, this amount, Republicans, so in the millions, and independents, $2 million. Some argue this suggests influence over drug pricing policies, while others note it's a small fraction of total campaign funds and may not directly affect decisions. The debate highlights the complex role of campaign finance in politics. Okay, cool. All right, so here's the list from 1990 to 2024. Let me see if I recognize any names here.
Oh, you will. JD Vance is on that list.
Really? Okay, so the first page, I don't recognize anybody. Let me see the second page. Ted Cruz. Okay, number 23. I recognize that name. Oh, Josh Hawley. And I thought he was one of the good ones, man. There's some people that I like. And then sometimes I disappoint myself.
Well, yeah, it happens.
All right, we got John Kennedy. Are they related or is it somebody else?
That's the one
Okay.
from Louisiana, right?
Let's see. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amy Klobukar?
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar?
Klobuchar.
Okay. All right. I think I recognize that name. Let's see. Oh, Mitch McConnell, of course. Damn. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
Okay, let me see. Rand Paul, Mitt Romney, Bernie Sanders, of course. Chuck Schumer, of course. Adam Schiff, Rick Scott. All right.
So this is why these people are upset, because, Big Pharma charges the American people exorbitant prices. I mean, we're paying way more in prescription drugs than, for one aspirin, overseas, they could be paying 50 cents for it, but they would charge us $50 for it. And so they make all this money off the backs of the American people, and then they go and contribute it to all these politicians so that the politicians will create laws to protect their little business that they have going on. So for Trump to come in and say, hey, I want to slap, a 30 to 80% decrease on these prescription medicines. Why are they pissed off? Because it affects their money and their scheming. So if you hear any politician come out this week and say, oh, Trump is wrong on, the prescription drug thing, this is not right, then you know that they have no interest in the interest of the American people.
Right.
Now, Trump tried to do something like this in his first term, but because the swamp hasn't been cleaned out the way it needed to be cleaned out back then, it was blocked after it went to court. Now, this one will go to court as well. Basically, every EO that Donald Trump has signed, you can go ahead and bet on it's going to go to court, because they're using lawfare to try to subvert the Constitution.
Okay, well, some interesting comments. Someone new in the chat, Mike Kent, he says Trump increased the cost of my meds when he came in.
Okay, I don't know what meds. I don't know. I mean, I know I have people in my family that are on medications, and I do know that for our experience, under the first Trump administration, their prescription drugs went down. So,
and I think Trump also approved of experimental drugs also.
Yeah,
in his
he
first.
did. He did. Now, here's another thing. Now, I don't know if this applies to prescription drugs per se, but there's an example right now. The way the gas prices are right now, what is happening there? The barrel of gas or the barrel of oil has dropped significantly. So technically, the national average for gasoline right now should be about $2.67. If you are paying more than that, $3, $4, then you might want to look at who's running your state. Is it a Democratic governor? Is it a Democratic legislation? Because what they're doing is they're not repealing their gas tax that they have for the state, which keeps the price of the gallon high for you.
Okay,
so,
I get it.
So does that play, does that move, does that apply to the prescription drugs and Big Pharma? I'm not sure, but it's a question that needs to be asked.
Okay, well, I'm in Florida. It's a Republican governor, but a Democratic mayor. And in Tampa right now, it's still at 3-something. So
yeah, see here it's 272. So not too bad.
Okay.
Which I'm surprised because we have a Democratic governor right now.
Okay. Well, yeah, it seems like Mike is also talking about it. He says, I can't listen to a maggot. I live in Alabama and gas has increased. You are lying. Well, like we just said, in different parts of the country, it has, whereas where I'm at, it hasn't. So we are waiting for the curve for things to start going down, for whatever Trump is doing to make sense.
And hold on a second. Where's that comment at?
I don't know which channel it's coming from, but I have both of our channels linked to the stream right now.
I wanted to see the comment again.
Oh, right here.
Oh, there it is. I can't take listening to a maggot. Okay, I live in Alabama. Gas increase your line. Okay, so for one, Mike, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. We don't tolerate disrespect. Okay, there's no need to be name calling. And you probably this is the first time, and now you're saying I'm lying. No, the information I have comes from legit sources. So I'm just sharing the information. We have always told everybody that watches us that if you don't agree with something or you're trying to figure out if Jimmy's telling the truth about something, go freaking look it up. Go look it up for yourselves. Because one thing that I don't do is lie.
Right.
So there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you to everybody in the chat as well, because we do appreciate the comments. We just want to keep it clean, keep it nice, and have a discussion. This is not supposed to be a debate or a back and forth type of, throwing jabs at one another. We're literally just talking about what we've gone through politically.
And the other thing I'll say kind of in the situation is if I say something and it turns out to be wrong, then that's my fault because maybe it was a wrong source or I didn't have the right information. But I do not intentionally go out and lie to people about this stuff because this stuff is serious. I've been on this stuff for 5 years and I have always wanted to bring true information to folks. Now, the other thing is just like Ruby changed her mind a little bit on the immigration, there are things that I will change my mind about if you bring me legitimate source information.
Right. And that's what we do on the show. This is to learn ourselves in the political atmosphere.
Sorry, this got kind of The reason I say that we can change our minds is because I just did that this past week. Now, I told Ruby about it, but I didn't go publicly yet. But hey, there's always a reason things happen the way they do, and maybe this is the right time that I need to say it. On one of our shows, we were talking about the inverted cross. And then I had put the post up on my Facebook page about the inverted cross being over there at the funeral for the last pope or his laying in state. Okay. I viewed that as being satanic. Okay. Ruby came back and said, well, Jimmy, there's more to that story because we were also talking about the Nazi symbol. So I went and did more research that night and found out that the upside down cross, of course, that was the way Peter was executed because he didn't feel like he matched up to being killed on an upright cross. So he was on the upside down cross. That symbol was held in Christianity for 1,500 years, and there was no issues with it. And it wasn't until Anton LaVey took that symbol and made it something that it wasn't to begin with. Just like the Nazi symbol, that's been around thousands of years, but somebody took it and perverted the meaning to it. So I changed now I like I told Ruby, I could care less about upside down, right side up. I don't care. But to be factual, which I do care about, I changed my stance on me just saying, oh, that's just Satanism.
Right.
Now, is it being used by them? Yeah, it is. It sucks. But it's not 100%. So we can change our views on things.
Right. And I do welcome other people with different opinions, even if they are against Trump. So comments like that, they don't bother me. I encourage it. I encourage everybody from different backgrounds to talk about this. That's the whole point of it. And we will allow people. Right, exactly. Just keep it respectful and give your opinion without being, not trying to debate it, but trying to have a conversation. And then we will open up the stream after we do the news, and Jimmy has a 16-year plan that he wants to get through. So after we're done with that, I'm going to put the link in the chat. My channel should already have it, but I will bring you up to stage at the end of the news and what Jimmy wanted to kind of bring out about the 16-year plan to destroy America. I forgot to add that on the title. I just put 16-year plan, and you might not know what that is. But it's the 16-year plan to destroy America. And I had no clue about this until Jimmy made these videos on his show, and then he shared it to me. And I didn't get through the 16 years. I only got through 4 to 8 years. That was a lot of information, a lot of, theories to get through. And for me to kind of like understand it in reality, in terms of like what really happened. Sometimes you have to look deeper into things. So that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. All right, Jimmy, are you ready for the news?
Go, let's do it.
All right, everybody, let's get it. All right, everybody. Welcome to the stage, Jimmy Bell, reporting from North Carolina. Go ahead, Jimmy. What do you got for us tonight?
All right, so we go back to last Tuesday, and we will cover Tuesday through the weekend. And these are headlines that have been put out this week that you may or may not have seen in the news. So, like I've said before, and I say it all the time, if I mention a headline that strikes your interest, go look it up for yourselves. Go read the story. So I'm just giving you the headlines and a little bit of commentary on some of the ones that I may want to comment about, or Ruby may want to comment about.
Yes.
What we always do, we take one day, and while I'm going through it, you guys are in the comments talking about that particular day. And if there's something that comes up, then we will discuss that as well. All right, so let's move into Tuesday, May 6th. Pakistan says it is responding to act of war. Supreme Court allows Trump to implement transgender military ban. Nice.
Good.
Nice. Canada's Mark Carney and Trump talked during White House meeting, which we did cover that last week. Mm-hmm. And we showed the expression that Mark Carney had on his face while he was in there. Trump teases very, very big announcement. A lot of folks didn't know what that was going to be, but we have found out what that is. Man detained outside Jennifer Aniston's home after vehicle crashes into the gate. 5 charged in human smuggling operation after boat incident leaves 3 dead. National Institutes of Health lays off hundreds more staff. Yes. NYPD officer attack in Times Square by teen members of Trende Aragua gang offshoot.
What?
Yeah. I didn't hear about that. Motown legend Smokey Robinson is accused of sexual assault.
Okay, here we go. How many times are we going to go through an accusation like this? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Mm-mm.
But I will say, and it might be further down in the news on another day, but for those that don't know, the P. Diddy trial did start yesterday, and there's already a lot of information coming out. So if you are on X and you want to keep up with somebody that's actually reporting on it every day, that would be Liz Crokin, LizCrokin. So I've been reposting some of her tweets and screenshotting them to put them on Facebook about the Diddy trial. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
U.S. Black Hawk pilot found dead on riverbank in Honduras. FBI has opened 250 investigations tied to the violent online network 764. And for those that don't know who the 764 thing is, that is a child trafficking and pornographic operation.
Wow.
And I think we talked about that last week, where there was a big arrest of these individuals. So now they've opened investigations tied to what they found in the arrest. More than 25 protesters arrested after taking over University of Washington building. And Navy loses second fighter jet in the Red Sea in a week. So
What you
that
mean
is,
they lost it?
yeah, they lost the second fighter jet. I don't know what happened with that. Y'all can go look it up. The first one fell off the carrier, apparently, is what we were told, but who knows? So they lost
Okay.
one. So that's Tuesday. Any comments on Tuesday?
Let's see. 587 says, Jimmy, there's no smoky without fire. Jane says that sex stuff is crappy. Diddy is disgusting. I had to turn off the radio. Jane also said, wow, LGBT can't be coming in the military any longer and no transgender surgery. That should have never even started. I don't know why this government likes to play pretend as if this is as if that's acceptable, when never, ever has it been acceptable for things like that in prisons or in the military. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things that no, like stop. So I'm sick of it, but I'm glad that Trump is doing something about it. Let's see. Jane says, oh my, if United States of America martial law comes, we'll stop that rioting and marching. I don't know about that, honestly. I think that would be a really bad step if the government were to do something like that just for rioting and marching. I don't know. I think it would have to be 10 times worse than just a protest or like a riot or something for that to kick in. But hey, I don't know nothing about that. I'm just
I have a lot of opinions about that, but right now I'll keep them to myself until it happens.
okay. All right. I think that's it for now. We
All
can
right,
move on.
Let's go into Wednesday, May 7th. ICE targets businesses and restaurants across DC. Judge blocks deportation flight of an Asian migrant to Libya. A judge, there we are again, the judge, talked about that last week. Trump pulls Surgeon General pick following Laura Loomer complaints. He did choose a new one that's actually, she's got a pretty decent track record, it looks like. Trump taps wellness influencer. Oh, here it is. Trump taps wellness influencer Casey Means for Surgeon General. Voice of America will carry One America news programming. That's good. They're actually breaking away from their leftist ways that they've been doing. Pakistan vows retaliation after Indian airstrike following the Kashmir attack. Fed holds interest rates steady. Pro-Palestinian protesters arrested at U.S. Columbia University. So what? We had them at, where's my other one at? So we had 25 protesters arrested in the Washington building. And then now we have this one. Pro-Palestinian protest. Anyway, sorry. Trump administration releases 60,000 more files on the RFK assassination. How many people actually knew about that? All the files are out.
I didn't hear anything about it except the initial one, which we kind of talked about. But
now I was listening to one of my sources on the podcast the other day, and I need to go back and check it for myself. But there's something in the documentation and in those documents that say basically that RFK actually died a month before it went public.
What?
Yeah, I need to look that up. So, but yeah, there's something in there was like chatter between the CIA and the FBI about why they wanted to suppress it to the public and something. But yeah, it's apparently in those documents.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Biden accuses Trump of modern day appeasement towards Russia. Oh, you know what? Let me go back to that thing about the RFK thing. I have said allegedly in speculation, you call it whatever you want to call it. So that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Queen, and all those folks actually died before they actually said they were. So if this is the case with RFK and there's documentation for it, hey, that's part of their playbook. It's something
Right.
that they do. So it's not out of the hemisphere that we could be off when we say, hey, RBG died like 2 years before they actually said she was dead.
Right. And I mean, we already know that though, when the documents came out of Argentina, that Hitler actually survived 2 years longer than what they said that
Yeah.
so he didn't kill himself. And now we know that as a
Yep.
fact from the president of Argentina releasing that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that right there would put all of that to rest. I would believe it now, because like I told you, the textbook teaches you one thing in school.
Mhm.
You learn a whole nother reality of how history played out when you're an adult later in life, when you finally wake up. So now it's like, I don't believe anything that's in a textbook now.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything that's in a book anymore. I don't believe anything that a teacher teaches you or a college teaches you. I don't believe none of that anymore.
Yep. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. Feel the same exact way.
Yeah.
All right. Biden accuses Trump of modern day appeasement towards Russia. Was he awake long enough to be able to make that accusation? I'm just asking.
But what is that supposed to mean, though? Is that supposed to be a bad thing?
I know. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. A modern day appeasement towards Russia. Okay, well, we want to be able to do something that creates some type of stability.
Right.
We want to you want to get along with your neighbors.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
right.
Some of these people. Anyway. Okay, hold on a second. I've not heard. Oh, okay. I have not heard this one yet, so I need to look into this one.
Okay.
Trump to rename Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf ahead of U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. I hadn't heard that yet.
I haven't either.
3 Doors Down singer Brad Arnold diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. AG Bondi reveals there are tens of thousands of videos showing Epstein with children. And I do not doubt that one bit.
And I think that guy is still alive too.
I
think he's still alive in jail somewhere, being tortured or something.
I do too. I don't think he's dead, but
I don't think he's dead either. I don't know. Oh, did you see that clip where Cash, was it a Congress thing? A hearing or something where what's that guy's name? The old senator, he says, "Are you going to release it before I die?" And he was like
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, yeah, that was a funny clip, and Cash was like, I don't know, like, I believe he did die in a prison. He gave the political correct answer, and the senator was not having it, and I forgot who it was already.
Yeah, I want to tie into something on that, but I was getting ready to, but then I seen the last point for Wednesday, and it says 205 child sex abuse offenders arrested in FBI-led nationwide crackdown on Wednesday of last week. 205 child sex abuse offenders arrested in the FBI-led nationwide crackdown.
Yeah.
Now, that's huge. And this is the comment that I want to make to all the folks that say, oh, well, we ain't seen the Epstein files yet, and blah, 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 where's the arrest? Okay, I get the frustration. I get it. I've been awake now for 5 years. There's people that have been awake longer than me that have been dying to see, the Epstein files or see some arrest around the situation. Yeah, I want to see it. But somebody brought out a good point the other day, and I was like, I need to share this, because over the last month of all these news blasts we've done, how many times has there been an article that says, oh, this many children rescued from this particular trafficking ring,
right,
or these abusers have been arrested? Okay, so here's the thing. If there were huge arrests, let's say 2 years ago, Everybody would have been, yeah, he got arrested. But there's two things to look at. One, look at our justice system. There is a two-tier justice system right now, and that needs to be cleaned up. We see the judges right now going after Trump for all of his executive orders. So we know that the judicial system is corrupt. So if you did arrest somebody 2-3 years ago, do you think they would be held accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. And the other thing is if you were to arrest these people and they have all these little low-level operatives, and like these 205 child sexual abuse offenders, okay, we know these kids are being rescued up until, the past month, there's been thousands rescued.
Yeah, I just saw a video.
What do you think would happen to those children if these abusers and these predators felt like the heat was coming after them? What do you think they do to those kids?
I don't know, man.
So, it's like a hostage standoff. The hostage is there and he wants to take out as many people as he can. He knows he's going down in a blaze of glory, so he may choose to take out as many people as he can. Same thing with these criminals, with the kids. If they knew the heat was coming down on them, then those kids that have been announced that they've been rescued over the past month would be dead.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's so sad all around, but I did see a local video because I follow my local sheriff on X, and they post videos when certain busts go down like this.
Yep.
They just posted one that they did a fake meetup, and they caught a couple of people that were trying to meet up with kids or that were offenders. And this was after, like you said, after all of this has been uncovered by the Trump administration, and the resources are now exposing this. Now we see more videos coming out of the sheriff department from their body cameras of stuff like this going down.
It's insane.
Let me just check the comments before
that
was the
end of Wednesday.
Okay, so I know the real love is in the chat. She has a valid question here. She says, where are they putting these kids after they find them? And that's also another thing for me too, because I would assume that the foster care system, or there's organizations that rehabilitate them and things like that. But what about efforts trying to reconnect them with their real families? What if they come from different countries and they don't, they don't have their family anymore. They don't even know they're kids. You know what I'm saying?
I can't say for a fact with 100% certainty of what's happening to these kids as they get rescued.
Yeah, we don't know what happens.
I will speculate, and I think the military may be taking care of them. For one, these folks, they're going to need medical care. They're going to need psychological care,
right?
Before they can even, I guess, be fostered out or whatever. They need to be taken care of. So maybe, possibly, the military is taking care of that.
But I do remember when Ivanka in the first administration, when she was exposing that, she was like really talking about it. That's what I remember. That I don't know. Maybe we'll have to check this if anybody's interested. Double check if she also had a department, or like she was putting money towards reconnecting these kids with their families, because we find them in America, but they're not from here. So we need to go. They need to find their families from the countries where they come from. So I would speculate that if this is important to the administration or the government or whatever, that they would have a program or something where they're putting money into finding the real families of these kids and, putting them back together. That would be my theory.
I have a good feeling saying that's probably happening. Right. I don't see it being done another way. I just think these kids are being taken care of some way or somehow, some way.
Right. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the next day.
All right, let's go into Thursday. Thursday, May 8th, Trump appoints Fox News host Janine Pereiro as top prosecutor in D.C.
That was amazing. Wasn't she a host?
She was a host. Yeah. She was a Fox
Okay.
News host. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen her talk about stuff, and she's a sharp lady.
Yeah.
She's a
She's
sharp
really
lady.
good. Mhm.
Now, I don't know exactly what role she's playing, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. But anyway, it was interesting.
All right.
Robert Francis Prevost becomes first U.S.-born Pope.
Oh my God. I do not know how to feel about that. It's not even the guy. It's not him. I don't have an issue with him per se. It's
Right.
the whole papacy together, like the whole institution of it. It doesn't make any sense to me, which is why when I was looking at religions, I was like, I'm not going to be Catholic. And that's why I went with Orthodox, because they don't have a pope or like that type of hierarchy where it's just
Right.
one man who makes all decisions. No. So just the institution itself bothers me. And then now this guy comes out as the first American from Chicago to be the Pope. Like, what? I'm done.
And I'll say this, and we won't. The funniest meme I saw this week was, we know the tariffs are working because the Pope is American made.
Oh my gosh. It's just so weird to me.
That
And I
shit was funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm going to have to ask my Catholic friends. If anybody's watching and you're Catholic, let me know how you feel about this. I'm highly interested on how Catholics view this. And I'm also going to ask my Catholic friends in real life so that I can respectfully ask them, how do they feel about this new pope? Because to me, I don't know, the whole thing bothers me. And it's just worse that he's American. Like, what is an American doing being the pope? But you know what? Whatever. We'll keep
Well,
moving on.
it's funny because one thing that I did notice before, and you may have seen this too, before he was announced as the new pope, there was a lot of people online, putting out their, prophecies of Peter. The next one would be named Peter, or there would be the Black Pope. And then when this gets done, then the Antichrist is going to come in. Well, the guy's not named Peter, and he's not black. So all those things,
Yeah.
they didn't age well. So,
Yeah.
all right. U.S. announces trade deal with the UK. FAA announces new air traffic control system. Trump administration invokes state secret privilege in Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. Interesting. Stocks close higher after U.S. and UK announced the trade deal. James O'Keefe reports that AG Pam Bondi said the same thing twice. Okay, yeah, there was some dust up between that this past week. I don't know what's going on with that. Trump moves Ed Martin to new director of the Weaponization Working Group. The Federal Emergency Management Agency's acting new director was fired Thursday after telling Congress he believed it is not in the public's best interest to eliminate the agency. So the FEMA director, acting director, he was fired. So RFK Jr. says autism database will use Medicare and Medicaid info. Interesting. And Pakistan shoots down more than 24 drones launched by India. That was Thursday.
I do have a clip about the trade deal that you just mentioned.
On the UK?
Yeah, Trump released this video about it.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. It's a very special day because it's Victory Day, World War II, May 8th. This is incredible that that day is the same day that we signed a tremendous trade deal for both countries. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before.
With this president, this prime minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years. It feels completely historic.
You've done what you said you would do. You said to the prime minister that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. And you've been true to your word. So thank you very much.
Oh, well, I like the clip, the part at the end where he says that you said you were going to do this and you were true to your word.
Right. I like that too.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. So, and I do like that Trump is posting these things. It's like he's keeping us up to tabs on what he's doing. And I never felt like this from any other president, that that like if we're in the room with him, you know what I mean? Like if we're there, watching everything that he's doing, that he's signing, that he's talking about, he's on there talking to us, being, the communication from this administration is so nice.
Well, it's called transparency, something we haven't seen.
True.
From a lot of the presidents, the presidents in the past. We're seeing transparency. And then when that stuff comes out, then the media, of course, they have to play blocker, and then they come out with their own crap that they want to put in their own headlines that are fake, phony, and false. And I love it when Trump calls them out during the press conferences.
Right. Yeah. I just feel more involved as a citizen, as a taxpayer, as, somebody who's participating in society. Because I'm only 20. Oh, my birthday just passed. So I'm 29 now, right? I've only had the 4 presidents? George Bush when I was 5, Obama, Biden, and Trump. Those are the only 4 presidents that I have consciousness of their administration. So I don't have that much experience when it comes to watching a president, watching the administration and what they're doing and how they're handling things. So the only examples that I have is really, really, really bad, which is Biden, in my opinion, and then the complete opposite, which is Trump. So when you're talking to young people in America, that's the only things we know is what we've seen from Obama, Biden, and Trump now.
Yep.
So it's different for us. If I'm looking at it, I would say Trump is the best president in my lifetime because I'm too young to remember. And if there was a older president that was good,
right, you
guys would know that. But I can't compare that to anything except Biden, Obama, and Bush, and now Trump. So just wanted to put that perspective out there.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right, we're ready for the next day.
All right, so let's go into Friday, May 9th. Trump signals he is open to cutting China tariffs to 80%. I know a lot of people are up in arms about that. There's a lot of people saying that Trump is caving towards China. No, there's way more going on.
And I have a story about this.
Okay.
So, my husband actually got fired from his job because of these tariffs with China. So he's actually, self-employed, but he works for this company that are Chinese, right? And a conversation, popped off about the tariffs. And as soon as the manager found out that he was a Trump supporter, that he supported Trump's tariffs, she fired him right there and then and told him to leave. And you see, this is why politics is. I'm very passionate about it because it literally directly involves in our lives. COVID was a good example, and now this was the most recent example.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it's a Chinese company. They're Chinese people, living in America. They hired him as a contractor, and that conversation popped off, and she said, you like Trump? You voted for Trump? You are in favor of these tariffs when you know how, she's talking about them Chinese, how much money this is costing us or whatever. And he was like, Donald Trump is my president. What you talking about? And she was like, yeah, she said, leave right now. So, yeah. And you see, these are the moments in life, we're very young. And I just explained it, right? These are the moments that would radicalize somebody. You know what I'm saying? These are the little interactions that people have in America in your job, in your school, in your college, and you know what I'm saying? And you start seeing how seriously people would take this kind of stuff. And then a few weeks later, Trump did score the tariff agreement with China. But she already said what she said. You see what I'm saying? It's like, how can you backtrack from that? That's why
Wow.
you don't treat people like that when it comes to politics. But she did it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And he lost his job temporarily because of that. You know, I'm thankful to say like they kind of reconciled, but it still happened. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that was a horrible experience. And whether or not it's illegal, like JG says, that's illegal, right? You can't fire somebody off of politics. But she did it. You know what I'm saying? It's her company. She could say, you know, get off my thing right now. I'm firing you. And she could make up any story she wants. It already happened. And that's the problem, is that people take these things so seriously. And where is your allegiance? If you're a Chinese American, why are you defending your country if you're not even there anymore?
Yeah.
This is your country now. This is your president now. You assimilate to us. What you mean you're gonna fire somebody just because of their politics? No.
Well, we always got to remember, you know, this always goes back to the how to bring down the United States: infiltration instead of invasion. So even if they are a Chinese American or a Mexican American, I don't care what country it's from. But if you came here to help infiltrate the United States, then that's the kind of attitude you're going to see from these folks.
Right. And we did discuss this. I was like, you could sue. That's the political discrimination, wrongful termination, and everything. So they're still talking right now, but that really kind of put us in a bind, because I was like, if you go back to that company or whatever, you're gonna have to put up with whatever comes next. You know what I'm saying? Like anything can pop off now that you know that that's how they feel about you, because you already know how they feel about you. So even in Florida, it's hard out there. So I could only imagine Democrat cities, Democrat states, because it's happening here in Florida. So yeah, just wanted to share that little story.
Mhm. All right. Well, let's continue on with the news from Friday, May 9th. Vice President Vance says India-Pakistan fighting is none of our business.
Yeah.
Radar screens at Newark Airport went black again. There's a lot of that happening here lately. U.S. and China begin trade talks in Geneva. Members of Congress break into Delaney Hall Detention Center. Did you see videos of that?
Nope, I have no clue what that is. Never heard of it.
Yeah, there was like altercations. There was people throwing around people. Members of Congress break into Delaney Hall Detention Center. So y'all might want to go look that one up. Pakistan's military says it has launched retaliatory strikes on sites in India. Trump to create National Center for Homeless Veterans. Did you have a clip on that?
Yes. Okay. So, May 9th, breaking. President Trump to build a national center for homeless veterans using funds that were previously spent on illegal immigrants. Let's watch.
House illegal aliens and foreign migrants in expensive luxury hotels, courtesy of you, the American taxpayer, and they want to spend billions and billions more. In many states, we're running out of hotel space because the rooms are all booked up with illegal aliens living in a very large way on the American taxpayer's dime. Meanwhile, we have 33,000 veterans in this country who are homeless and living very poorly, I might add, and it's a shame. They're living in filth and squalor on our streets. Nobody is doing a thing for them. We helped them a lot during my 4 years, and it's all been dropped. Everything we did for our veterans has been dropped. It's a disgrace. Joe Biden puts illegal aliens before homeless veterans, and we cannot let this happen any longer. The American veteran is one of our greats. These are great, great people. We have to take care of them. When I am reelected, this national scandal will end. On day one, I will sign an executive order to cut off Joe Biden's massive spigot of funding for shelter and transport of illegal aliens and redirect a portion of those savings, a very large portion, I might add, to provide shelter and treatment for homeless American veterans. I will make it a personal mission to totally eradicate veterans' homelessness in America by the end of next term. You'll see a big difference, just like you did at the VA, just like you did with, frankly, everything we touched. The border was the best border we've ever had. We were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. Our country was doing great. We had no inflation. We had the best economy in history. We're going to take care of our veterans. If you have served this nation in uniform, the Trump administration will never betray you as Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats have done. They have truly betrayed you. Anybody voting for a Democrat is very foolish, very, very foolish. We certainly will not be putting illegal alien lawbreakers up in ultimate luxury while American veterans lay shivering on the sidewalks below. Unlike Biden, our loyalty will not be to illegal aliens who have violated our borders and come into our country illegally. They've trampled our sovereignty. It will be to the brave men and women who enlisted their lives to defend our borders and to protect our sovereignty. Thank you very much. We're going to take care of our veterans.
So apparently that was a campaign ad put out because he said, when I'm elected. So he said what he was going to do back then, and then he puts this into play to create a national center for homeless veterans. So again, he's doing what he said he would do.
Yeah, and I'm happy for that. But I mean, like, how many decades have we heard about veterans being homeless, veterans not having the proper care? You know, so many things that have to do with the veterans. Why hasn't it just already been done? Like, this
Okay,
is something that should be
so
done.
let me explain this the best way I can, and try to make it as easy as possible. The deep state has used our men and women here in America to battle their wars so that they can make the money that they want from the military industrial complex or to push their agendas. We all know that these wars have been banker wars, which we'll probably look at that in the video we discuss later. So our military have been used as pawns in their game.
Agreed. Yeah.
So they don't give a rat's behind about them after they're done using them.
Right. Agreed.
But to try to get their positions or secure their positions throughout the years. Oh, I'm going to stop this with the homeless veterans. I'm going to do this. And they do nothing. They are empty promises.
Okay.
So we have a guy now who said what he said on the campaign trail, and he's actually doing something about it, or at least starting the process of doing something about it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to take that because that bothers me. Like, I've always heard that issue since forever, like as long as I can remember. So to me, it feels like, why hasn't this already been done? Like, this sounds easy. You know what I'm saying? This sounds easy enough to handle, and it's not getting done. Just like with the border, it's a manufactured problem when in reality, it can be done like this.
Exactly. And see, and that's what we're being shown. You know, the Biden administration tried to say they needed a bill to pass Congress to be able to take care of the border. Oh, and it's those Republicans that are holding it up. So that was an excuse because we saw Trump come in and immediately do what he did with the border. He didn't need no bill. So again, the people were lied to because the media was pushing this. Oh, they need a border bill and the Republicans are not on board with it. And blah, 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 blah. It was smoke and mirrors.
Messing with us. Yeah.
It's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And that's what I'm sick and tired of. I'm tired of the games. I'm tired of all of it. Like as if we're weak, as if as if we can't do it. Like, what you talking about? We're the United States of America. Like,
exactly.
Even Texas could do it by themselves if they would allow them. If it wasn't a federal issue, the state could take care of it.
They tried to do it during the Biden administration, and that went to court, and the federal government was trying to shut Texas down from protecting their own border.
Exactly. And that was another problem for me. I was like, why can't they do that? Why can't all the southern states help each other like how it used to be?
Yeah, and just shut it down.
Yeah, take care of it ourselves, and
See,
all those states send them back to the border.
But see, Ruby, you missed the point here. You're using common sense.
Yeah, I hate this. I hate it.
It's common sense, you know. So anyway, all right, let's see. Let's move on. Mayor Baraka of Newark, New Jersey, arrested at immigration detention center for obstructing ICE.
Yup, I saw that. That was insane.
Wow. Trump fires longtime Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. Don't know why. FDA and NIH announced innovative joint nutrition regulatory science program. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth canceled scheduled visit to Israel. This was on Friday. And FDA approves and expands 3 natural color additives. And I have been seeing that, you know, all the little sprinkles that you put on cupcakes and stuff like that. I saw some information to where that's already being changed, and they're still colorful, but they're natural ingredients, kind of like what they do overseas in Europe. They have natural stuff there. So again, it's something else that could have been taken care of a long time ago, but it wasn't until they were exposed that they were forced to change direction. And now we have natural stuff going in. Well, it's a start.
But you know how many groups, and I do appreciate the mothers, like the anti-vax mothers. There was a movement with them. There was a movement with all like these homeschoolers, homemakers, you know, moms that were really pushing against this. How many years have these women, these people, these families been talking and pushing against these bills or pushing against these narratives about all that stuff? And now all of a sudden it's popular and people want to not, you know, be vegan or something. For example, that's one of them. But for years, these people have been talking about it and nobody has been listening. So,
but we can say that. Think about that comment you just made, and think about everything else we've talked to. For years, we've talked about the veterans. For years, we've talked about the border. For years, and it's just now that we're seeing change.
Yeah.
That's a huge statement if you really think about it.
Yep.
Because there is change happening in America.
Yeah, finally.
If you pay attention.
Right, exactly. But those people, those groups have been demonized. They even had the FBI on those parents. Yeah. They have been dragging those people through the mud and name calling them, and like anti-vaxxers were conspiracy theorists. And back then that was like a bad thing to say. You know what I'm saying? Like they've demonized these people so much, and now it's cool to be vegan or cool to be like no preservatives, no GMOs, no gluten, no you know, like now it's all of a sudden cool. But they had a point and nobody was listening until now. Thankfully, RFK Jr. is the one who's popular enough to you know, mainstream it. But that gets me sick and tired. Like, why do we have to explain to normies? Why do we have to all right, I feel like this sometimes I feel black-pilled, as if, why are we wasting time trying to wake people up or trying to help them understand how this is good for them? It's like you have to convince them that this is good for them.
Well, see, the thing is, Ruby, what I've learned, we're not gonna wake. I mean, I've had people tell me, "Hey, Jimmy, thank you for waking me up." That's happened. But it was never my intention to do that. But what these folks would tell me later on is, after they listened to a video that I did or whatever, they took that information, went and looked for it for themselves, and were like, "Oh, wow, yeah, Jimmy was on point with this. Let me go look at what else he presented."
Right.
Then they start putting the puzzle pieces together for themselves.
Right. But also adding to that is that's the exact same reason why we cannot let other people dictate our decisions in our life. We just need to do what we know is right for us. Because
Correct.
if we were always listening to other people, we would have taken the jab. We would have taken, the prescription drugs. We would have never known about that. We would have never known about other things that everybody else is looking at you like, oh well, so and so does this with their kids, like, oh, you know, caring about what other people think. That's why I just do things now. I just do it. I don't have to be asking too many questions because deep down inside, you know that this has poison. It has food coloring in it. It has parasites. It's literal poison that you're drinking. And nobody cares. The American government doesn't care about its own people. If they did, they would have never had those things. But they don't
Yep.
care about us. And that's
No.
what bothers me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that and hopefully kind of explain, why this is the case with the 16-year plan. I mean, it goes back further than that, but it was very isolated over the last 16 years.
Right.
Anyway, all right. We got one more. Wow. I
Okay.
told you there was a lot of news this week.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we're just touching the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
All right. Over the weekend, May 10th and May 11th, Trump administration would like to accept a luxury jet from Qatar to use as Air Force One.
I heard about that, and people were upset, like, oh, he can't receive a plane or something. He can't. I
Okay.
don't know what that is. Like, why
Let
is
me
that a
just-
bad thing? Like, once again, why are they demonizing these things?
Okay. So in the Constitution, I am going to paraphrase because I can't do it word for word right now.
Mhm.
But in the Constitution, there's something in there. I think it's under the emoluments clause to where a president cannot accept foreign
Mhm.
gifts, money, whatever. There's something in the Constitution about that.
Okay.
Okay. Which makes sense because, you want that in the Constitution so that, there's not a person that takes power and is getting all this money from another country just to be able to do favors. Oh, wait, that's been going on for years with other administrations, hasn't it?
Has it? I mean, I've never heard of that.
Think about it. I mean, people, that's where money laundering comes into play.
Right.
Let's give a bunch of money to Ukraine and then we'll launder it back into our pockets, or vice versa.
Mhm.
Let's give this politician money from this country to push China. How much
Right.
money has Mitch McConnell got from China? The
Mhm.
Clintons. So anyway, so there's something in the Constitution about that. Here's the difference.
Mm.
The plane is not being given to Trump personally.
Right.
It's being gifted to the Department of Defense.
Mhm.
Ergo, it's not a constitutional issue.
Right.
And the Department of Defense decides, which planes they're going to use for the president. Now, later, after they decommission the plane, let's say Trump's out of office and he has his presidential library, it's said it's going to be donated to that for his presidential library, which again is not a constitutional issue because he would then just be a citizen.
Mhm.
So all the media is freaking out about this thing when there's no need to.
Yeah, fake outrage once again, making stuff up. I mean, I didn't even need to look that up to know that that was not a personal gift. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't need to go to Google and say, hold up, is Trump taking a gift from so and so? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't waste my time with stuff like that. There's bigger and, bigger problems here than
Exactly.
a jet. Like, come on.
But what have we learned since we've been doing this show? The media has to keep the news cycle. They got to try to keep a hold of the news cycle because that's how they keep everybody blind, dumb, indoctrinated.
Okay, so what would you say to this comment? JG says, "Come on, Jimmy, that crazy plane is a Trojan horse."
How?
All right. That's
Explain-
that's interesting.
Explain to me how.
Okay.
And again, we don't know all the details behind the scenes.
Right.
You know, Trump did, he did sign a contract. I think it was a contract with Boeing back in his first term to have 2 new Air Force Ones. It was like $3.9 billion. And they have slow walked getting those planes service available.
Okay.
And so Qatar has said, hey, we got a plane we're not using.
Okay, so JG said that it's bugged.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I think they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so that's fair. It could be bugged. There could be a little camera in there somewhere. But with the technology that they have, and considering this would be Air Force One, I can see it being thoroughly inspected.
All right. And Del Real Love says, did you see Trump at Saudi Arabia? So I didn't see that. What was that? It was the royal entrance, right? They gave him like a royal entrance. I'm gonna have to look that up because I didn't see. I mean, I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
This when I seen all that, and especially if you found out what they did with Trump on his first visit to Saudi Arabia during his first term.
I played that on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he was, there was the sword dance and Trump got to hold the sword.
Right.
And in Saudi Arabia, no one touches the sword
right
unless it's the king.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Why was Trump touching the sword and holding it and dancing with it?
Did they give it to him?
And yeah, they gave it to him. And then on the arrival to Saudi Arabia, what was the color of the carpet that went from Air Force One into the event?
I don't know. What color was it?
Purple. Purple is a designation for royalty.
Right. Okay.
So if they gave him the sword, he was the king, and he comes back to visit, they roll out the purple carpet. There's a lot of stuff going on with the whole Saudi Arabia and the Trump deal. And that goes back to a lot of other stuff that's happened that a lot of people are not aware of.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do that in another video. We're gonna have to look at that because that's a lot of symbolism that we need to look into.
Oh, there's a ton. And there's another video, I think it was from the first term, where you had the king sitting at a seat and Trump walks by and taps him on his arm. You are not allowed to touch the king in Saudi Arabia. Doesn't matter.
I see it all the time on X.
Yeah. And Trump and Salman just looks back at him like, hey, what's up, dude? There's something going on there. Okay. All right. Good Lord. Iran and U.S. conclude a 4th round of negotiations over nuclear program. U.S. and China say substantial progress is being made in key trade talks. Israeli airstrike killed 23 in Gaza. You're going to hear more about Gaza coming up too. India and Pakistan announced ceasefire. So at the beginning of the week, they were going at it. And on the weekend, they announced a ceasefire. Hamas to release Israeli American hostage, which was done yesterday. So the last American hostage out of Gaza has been released. Screwworm outbreak prompts U.S. cattle import suspension. Okay. Trump administration offers refugee status to Afrikaners.
Yeah, South Africans, right?
Yeah, it says to Afrikaners. So I guess the South Africans, I guess what they're called there. I'm not sure. And then Trump announces he will sign the executive order to slash drug prices. That is your news. That is your headlines from last week.
Okay, good. Awesome. Because a long time ago, I wanted to talk about the South Africa thing and I never really got to it. But really quickly, that was a huge issue that Trump exposed, that the blacks were killing the white farmers in South Africa.
Right.
And they were literally being genocided. You know, whether or not it's political or racial, I don't think it matters. But that's exactly why when I brought up the segregation stance was because that was a problem for them. And it currently is that they were promoting the death of these people just because they were white.
Mm-hmm.
And my stance was, well, why don't they leave that country? Like, if you know that you are being targeted and you are not welcomed, and regardless of whether or not you were born and raised there, if that happened, why wouldn't you leave and go back to where you actually come from? You know, like ancestrally, they are British, right? They immigrated there hundreds of years ago. And now that there's a political issue, why don't they move back to England?
Right.
And some people may, kind of compare that to segregation, because if they cannot coexist with one another as South Africans, whether or not they're black or white, would you leave? I mean, that's a huge issue. So in my opinion, I would have been like, they should have picked up and took the first flight next, the next flight out and go back to where you really come from. That country is theirs. Now, if we talk about it in American terms, people are having an issue with the, descendants of slaves or, white people in America, whatever it is, right? But are they picking up and leaving if it's that big of an issue? No, they're not. They stay here, but they still complain about it. Those people are actually getting killed over it.
Mm-hmm.
And they are leaving. They are seeking, asylum because of that. So those batches of people that are coming to this country, and some may call it immigration, I would also be in favor of immigration in that situation.
Well, that's you're seeking asylum. You're seeking,
Right.
people are trying to kill you.
For real,
There's a difference than you had all these migrant caravans coming over. They weren't escaping anybody coming and trying to kill them or whatever. They were being paid to get in there and go do that. And
Right.
so that's wrong. But you have people over here that are literally losing their homes, everything, their lives, and they're asking for asylum. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to give you, you're going to go through a check, but yeah, let's start the process and get you safe.
Right. But that's my point, is that even though you are fifth generation, right? Steen says, well, that's like asking fifth generation blacks in the US to go back to Africa. But let's just put ourselves in their shoes and let's say that those people were actually being killed just because of their race. You wouldn't take your family and go back to where you really come from, regardless of what generation you are in. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why are you fighting to stay in a place where you are not welcomed, where you're actually getting killed over it? So I do support the immigration, the asylum seekers, for people that are fleeing because they're getting killed over it.
Yeah.
And that to me is a more real issue than the fake racist propaganda in America that they're trying to make it seem as if there's a huge race issue in America, because it's just not true.
Yeah.
Like in the South, whites and blacks have no problem with one another at all.
And again, there's so many people in the United States, we get so stuck in our own little bubble. They have no clue what's actually has been going on in South Africa. No clue.
Right.
But they'll see a news article or a headline of an incident in America, then they jump all over it. It's just folks have to really broaden their, what they look at. Myself included. I've looked at a lot of things, but I'm willing to broaden it even more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happening in South Africa. And I'm just saying, if it was me, I don't care if I have money or if I don't have money, we are leaving, because I am not going to lose my life just because of somebody else's hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing with the Jews in Germany too. A lot of people didn't leave. And if you didn't immigrate to another country because of the political downfall of that country, then you were put in a concentration camp or you were killed. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why didn't you leave? Like, run. Run. If that
Stop.
country is not safe, run.
Yep.
If you can. You know what I'm like? Do not fight to stay somewhere where you're not welcomed.
All right, so Ruby, it's 10:34.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. I know I'm going to need at least 45 minutes to go over the 16-year plan thing. Then
Okay.
we got another 30 minutes for the video because that's 24 minutes long. That's a really good video. How about, let's see, 11, 12 to 12:30? Okay. What if we opened up the floor for about 25 minutes to 11 o'clock for folks that can chime in on what we've talked about so far? And then at 11, let's give me a chance to, because I got to do a lot of talking. Give me a chance because I did a lot of talking.
Okay, so I'll put the link here.
Yeah. So, and I need to run inside real quick to pick up a piece of information I need for 11 o'clock. So I'll be right back.
All right, everybody. So I put the link in the description. I'm going to bring us back when Jimmy comes back. I also have to get something from the room. I am thirsty. So I'm going to play a quick commercial and then we're going to be right back. But you can definitely join in the backstage and then I'll bring you back up when I come back.
Courtesy of the Loungers Club, I was gifted some merch and I am more than happy to do a promotional video for the brand. So let's get to know the company. The Loungers Club is a lifestyle clothing brand that promotes relaxation and comfort, weekend getaways, vacation, and just a stress-free lifestyle in general. Inspired by a cherished family heirloom, it became the symbol of their mission to create comfortable, stylish clothing that encourages people to slow down, unwind, and to savor life's little moments. From beachside picnics to late-night fireside chats, the Loungers Club invites everyone to embrace comfort, leisure, and positive vibes. The brand offers versatile clothing and accessories for men, women, and children. Please go check them out at theloungersclub.com.
All right, everybody. I am back. I got my green tea. I got my drink. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments. Thank you, Jane. If anybody wants to join the stage, hit the link. Okay. Let me see. There we go. Hi, Fallen. Just gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry.
There you go. How you doing tonight?
Hi, how you doing, Ruby? Good. I'm doing good.
What's up?
I guess what I have to say is because there's so much news out there, I can't keep up. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that got my attention was immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So like my mother, she's an immigrant herself, and it made me think about her. But I was raised around a woman that was illegal, like legally. She's legal.
Mm-hmm.
She went through all the paperwork and everything. She got married to my dad, and that's when she came to America.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually misses the Philippines. She actually wants to go back there, but because she's married, it's not like she can live there again because she's married to an American that lives here. So, I don't know. I know some personal issues with that, but other than that, yeah, I mean, I think that you should go through the paperwork in order to be here, unless you're born here.
Right.
Um,
But they should make it easier for married couples. Like if there's an American who's getting married to somebody else in a different country, they should at least make it easier for the spouse to come into the country with their American spouse. So that was my new change. I changed my stance on that.
You said make it easier for
the spouse, the non-American spouse, to come into the country with their American spouse.
They make it difficult.
Yeah, because I watched the CO visit. He made a YouTube video about his experience with his wife, his ex-wife. She was from a different country, and they made it extremely difficult and gave them the runaround, and they spent thousands of dollars just to try to get her into the United States, and it took longer than what it did because of that, because of the issues that didn't allow him to bring his wife. So that's when I finally I after watching that video, I kind of changed my opinion and my stance when it came to immigration, because before I was 0% immigration. I didn't really care if they were legal or not. But after listening to that story, I kind of changed my perspective, and that was about 2 weeks ago. So that's why I brought it up.
Interesting that 2 weeks ago you were against immigration in general. Like, why is it that another human being that is from a different land, you're against falling in love with somebody from another land?
I wasn't, but I meant bringing them into this country. Like, yeah, get married and be in that country. I was like 0 immigration, completely 0, whether or not they were married. Like, I didn't really care about the circumstances. But after listening to his story, I've changed that stance, that you should be able to bring your spouse and your family, like if you have a baby and things like that, because you guys already know, like, I'm big on traditional values. So I kind of changed my stance now.
Excuse me. Wow, that makes me feel very lucky, because I would have never had my mother if people agreed to that opinion that you had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That would really change my whole life if it wasn't for my mother being here and being present. I would be a totally different person. But
yeah, that's why it's good to talk about these things. This is why we do the show. This is why we speculate. We have conversations. We talk about these things in a safe place where we can change our opinion when it does happen, like it did happen to us, and how I honestly came on here and said, hey guys, I've been spewing all of my ideas, but I actually changed one. And that rarely happens, but it happened, and that's why I shared it. Really quickly, just want to welcome Joseph to the stage, and Jimmy is back on the stage. So we might move on to what Jimmy has to talk about.
Well, let's see if Joseph got anything to add real quick to what we've already talked about this evening.
Okay, go ahead, Joseph.
When you were talking about the illegal immigration in the United States, remember during the week, President Trump brought out, or his administration brought out, that they might cancel a writ of habeas corpus. So they don't have to be any due process. They could be immediately arrested and deported.
Yes.
Because they are part of an invasion.
Yes.
Which is in the U.S. Constitution.
Correct.
So canceling writ of habeas corpus is on the table.
Yeah, then I do think that's going to be taking place. And a lot of people don't know what writ of habeas corpus is. Ruby, you might
process before a court. You have your day in court.
Yeah, and that's suspended. And what you're going to hear from the media when that is taking place or takes place, the media is going to be like, oh, Trump's being a dictator. Trump's doing that. Okay, well, there was at least 4 other presidents that suspended writ of habeas corpus. The first one was Abraham Lincoln. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. One of them was, I don't know if he was the first one or not. One of them was Abraham Lincoln. And then another one was FDR back during World War II when he rounded up Japanese Americans to be put in internment camps.
Yes,
He
yes.
rounded up American citizens and put them in internment camps because he suspended writ of habeas corpus. So before you jump on the bandwagon with the media when they start attacking Trump over this, go back and do some history looking.
Right, but that was legal, was it?
It's constitutional, but you know, he can suspend writ of habeas corpus, but the way he did it, FDR did it. See, Lincoln did it because of the Civil War.
Right.
FDR used the war to round up people that were American citizens.
What's the difference? I mean, war is war.
They were Japanese. It was only because they were Japanese that they were around. They were not doing anything to support the Japanese war effort. They weren't doing anything. They were
how would you know that?
They were innocent. Oh well, once all the stories came out about the Japanese internment camps, it was horrible what they did to them.
Yes, it was. With my parents, when I was a little child at the time, but our next door neighbors were Japanese citizens, American citizens that were rounded up. They had only 1 hour to pack one suitcase per person and get in the trucks.
Yep. Yeah, it was bad what they did. So if you don't know much about writ of habeas corpus, I highly encourage you to research it and find out more about it before it starts hitting the news, because it will be hitting the news.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. I mean, because I do know of that did happen. I know that it happened, but whether or not if I'm for it or against it, I don't know yet. So I'm gonna have to.
I don't know either because
I'm gonna have to look it up.
The due process for all these illegal aliens, it'll take over 200 years to do that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Yep. So maybe next week I can touch on writ of habeas corpus and give a few examples of when it was used and stuff like that, so we can help educate folks that don't know about it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to learn more about it too. Okay, Jimmy. So let me know, what do you want to start with first?
Well, I'm going to ask real quick, does Joseph or Fallen have any more comments for what we've discussed this evening before? Because when I start on this, I kind of want to take folks off the stage so not to get distracted and so I can get through the information.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
All right. So I'll put them backstage. You guys can stay there, and then I'll bring you back up when Jimmy gives me the signal. And for anybody else who wants to join, you could hit the link and I'll put you backstage and just let Jimmy do his thing. And then when we're ready, we'll bring you back up.
Okay. Do you have the thumbnail that I sent you in your DMs on X that has the 16-year plan?
Okay, let's see, everybody. We're going to go to my X page now. Whoops. I'm doing everything wrong now. Okay, everybody. We are going to go to my DMs on X. Here goes Jimmy's messages. I got the video here. Okay, right here.
Right there. All right, so this is what we're going to discuss tonight, folks. This is the 16-year plan to destroy America. They never thought she would lose. And how many times have we heard that? They never thought Hillary was going to lose. There was a lot of videos out there saying, oh, Trump will never be president. These were coming from Hollywood actors and stuff and more politicians. Oh, we got this. They were so confident that Hillary was going to win 2016. But this plan was set to go in effect at the beginning of the Obama administration. Remember when Obama was saying, oh, we need to fundamentally transform America? He said that. What does that mean? Okay. And so he was tasked with the first 8 years. Hillary was tasked with 2016 to 2024. Now, the good thing that I can say, and I thought about this today, we are now in 2025, and they wanted this done by 2024. They failed. They failed. But it's important to understand what happened, what was in play, what was going on behind the scenes, who was, if they had a plan to destroy America, there apparently was a plan to what? Save America. Remember? Okay. So, you know, I think Trump ran on that at one point, said save America. Now that makes more sense to us that look at this, because we're like, oh yeah, because they were destroying us. So I did a video on the big picture. We did 2 episodes. I did an episode, I did part 1, part 2. And the first part, we discussed the first 8 years of the plan. And in the second video, we did the second 8 years. I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to be talking and reading kind of fast. So, because there's so much information that I want to make sure that I put out there for you guys to understand and ponder on. So we know that George Bush, one, he talked about a new world order. You know, Clinton talked about the new world order. Bush did the new world order. Hey, you know what, Ruby, before we go into this, do you want to play our little conspiracy section clip?
Oh, yes.
Because we're going to, go ahead and play that clip real quick.
Oh my gosh. Where is it? I got it. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the conspiracy side of the show. Jimmy Bell is going to be presenting the 16-year plan to destroy America.
All right, so here we go. We go back to this was put out by Melissa Grenier, October 11th of 2021. It was updated on March 30th of 2022. She goes by the X handle Mel Q, which a lot of us, especially me in the beginning, she was one of the digital soldiers, decoders, anons that I listen to now. There's some things I question her on, but this right here, this plan, I have to give props to her. She did a really good job laying this out. So this is the things that they wanted to do. And as I go through it, think about what you remember happening during these time periods and see how it's playing out today. So let's start with the first thing that they wanted to do was to install rogue operators in government. All right, we talked about infiltration instead of invasion. How are they going to do this? So for the next couple of minutes, let me read you guys the backstory to this, and we'll go from there. Sacred button, install rogue operators in government. Sacred bloodlines make up the pyramid of the Cabal Illuminati. They are the main puppet masters. The Rothschilds scam the world with a fake fiat central banking system using debt and usury, which we're going to look at a video about that later. It is rumored that they own the Federal Reserve. This is a privately owned bank and yet is accepted in America as a normal government entity. They are also connected to the Vatican through long-standing loan debts. The Rockefellers control the oil and pipelines. Quotations. The Morgans control the gold. These names make up the top 3 of the pyramid. Peter Wallenberg and his brother Jacob Wallenberg are above them on the pyramid, and the all-seeing eye at the top is Queen Elizabeth II. The next part of the pyramid was the House of Saud. including Prince Alawid bin Talil. House of Saud, whose family originated in Jewish roots, was involved in a major sex trafficking and connections through big tech. Their corporate connections were cut in 2017 when Prince Mohammed bin Salman took over the throne. Some say some Saudi royal members, like Alawid, were heavily involved. Dr. Khalid al-Mansour and Alawid were responsible for Barack Obama's Harvard education through HUMA, the Harvard University Muslim Alliance, and his connection put him and Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, in the White House. George Soros and his organization, Open Society, are also connected through the Clinton Foundation. Comes next with funding organizations responsible for supporting the cabal's agenda. He funds the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and Fake News. Connections such as all the Dominion and Smartmatic voting machines, Pharma/vaccines, Perkins Coie, Loop Capital, CrowdStrike, Fusion GPS, Microsoft, Red Cross, Red Org, BLM, Antifa, Big Tech, and Silicon Valley. Big Oil, Muslim Brotherhood, MS-13, ISIS, climate change funding, and many others. That's what George Soros was doing and paying for. He is responsible for Hillary Clinton's placement as Secretary of State. This top part of the pyramid is also connected throughout the world, starting in the UK with the royal family. It then branches out through Europe and the United States and North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, South America, and Africa. The cabal deep state is also heavily embedded in UK, Israel, US, China, Russia, Ukraine, North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, and other areas. These heavily embedded areas include connections to intelligence agencies in each of these regions. A few examples are the CIA, Mossad, M6, and Russian intelligence. A percentage of agencies are involved with using sexual blackmail to help the cabal control governments around the world. They spy on everyone, which means they have dirt on everyone. The Illuminati satanic cult and the NWO are also connected to the Vatican. The Vatican, like the City of London and District of Columbia, are considered separate corporations. We've talked about that before. They have their own ambassadors and police. The Vatican and the Illuminati cabal worship the devil. They have hidden a lot from the world in the Vatican archives. The Vatican controls the world through religion. The City of London controls it through currency, and DC controls the military force. Their goal is to ultimately set up a New Jerusalem temple of Lucifer with a one world government and a one world religion. Let's see. Okay, so basically, there's some other information in here, but it talks about Q-Post. Here's an example of one. When does a church become a playground? When does a church become a business? When does a church become political? When does a church become corrupt? When does a church become willfully blind? When does a church become controlled? So those were questions that were put out for folks that were interested in learning that information could go and find out. So basically, you see the three sides of the pyramid, and this was all about installing rogue operators in our government. And then there's a list of a lot of people that were deep state government puppets.
And that's just one box?
Yeah, it's just one box. That's why I said there's a lot. This is a page that shows all of these names of people in government. This page right here, there's tons of names on here. Secretary of Education, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Transportation, former Attorney Generals, everybody. Okay. And then it continues on this page too. All right. Key, in parentheses, Keystone is the royal family queen. Areas to control the U.S. are California and New York. Spies are placed accordingly through the CCP and CIA Mossad. The CIA Mossad uses madams like Alex Adam, Heidi Fleiss, Allison Mack, and Rachel Ray Chandler to gather assets and groom victims for sexual blackmail. For example, Ray Chandler was used at locations like the Standard Hotel and Epstein's Island. She is connected to the Rothschilds through her Hollywood friends like Nikki Hilton. She has many connections to Hollywood, royals, and government leaders, as well as satanic connections like spirit cooker Marina Abramovich, who was outlined in the Podesta email leak. Madams like her use blackmail to secure power around the world for the CIA and the Mossad, with evidence, filmed or otherwise, of powerful individuals doing unconscionable things. And what did Pam Bondi say that the FBI had in their possession right now? Over 10,000 of these types of recordings.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. All right. So we're going to move on. So basically what their plan was to do was to put their operatives in our government so they could keep control. And can we say that they were successful with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can say that they were. All right. The next one. Leak classified intelligence and military secrets. Now, I'll promise you these next boxes aren't as long as the first one.
Okay.
But I had to create a picture so people could understand the players. If you don't know the players of the game, then how are you going to keep up with the game? I guess. Anyway.
Right. Okay, so number 2 was leak classified intel, military secrets.
Yes. According to WikiLeaks, leaked intel was received by China via Hillary Clinton's private bathroom server. Clinton used a personal email and computer to conduct official government business, which goes against government policy. It was set up with limited security hardening, which made it vulnerable to intrusion and theft as early as March of 2013. She used non-government IT staff to maintain it as well, which also goes against government policy. Germany and South Korea also had access to the server. Pakistani nationals, the Awans, also had access to the DNC servers since 2004 through 2016. The servers collected congressional information and stored on servers in Pakistan. Why is this important? Remember Seth Rich?
I don't. I've never heard of that name, but if anybody in the chat has, let me know right now.
Seth Rich was I think he was one of these non-government IT staff members. He had access to these servers. He had information. He was murdered.
Really?
Yes. Around, look up real quick. When was Seth Rich murdered?
Okay. Seth Rich death. Okay, let's see. July 10th, 2016.
And we have on here, it said, the Almans also had access to the DNC servers since 2004 through 2016. And this dude was killed in 2016.
Yep, it says he was shot twice in the back. The perpetrators were never apprehended. Police suspected he had been the victim of an attempted robbery. 27 years old.
Yeah, it wasn't no attempted robbery. That was a hit. That was a hit job because he had access to the servers. He leaked the information.
So somebody has it, or the internet has it.
Well, let's just say somebody has this information. Okay.
Okay.
But that's one thing that and another thing, and like military secrets, one of the things that I can point to when it came to Obama, when ISIS was developing, he basically took control from the generals. And when he would call a military strike, the ISIS was being tipped off of where these strikes would be. And that's how ISIS grew so freaking big so quick. Obama was enabling ISIS to grow. So that's part of military secrets and leaked classified intelligence. And we know from what we have, we know that that's something that we're doing. So box number 2, Were they successful in trying that or doing that? Yes,
Yep.
they were. All right. 3, cut military funding.
He
Budget.
did that. Yep.
She said, yeah, he did that. I don't even have to read that one. We all know he did it.
Yep, we know.
There's only 2 sentences. Budget sequestration during the Obama administration seriously crippled the U.S. military, according to publicized statistics by the House Armed Service Committee published on March 22nd, 2018. The Air Force was short 2,000 pilots. Barracks were mold-ridden. The average age of Air Force planes was over 27 years old. Condemned hangars and contaminated water were just a few of the issues the military faced. Now, if you were planning to destroy something from the inside, what would be one of the things that you would want to get rid of?
The defenses for the country.
Correct. Get rid of make your military weak.
On purpose. I mean, that was the dumbest thing that I have ever heard Obama do, which makes me believe that he himself is an operative that was installed there to do everything that you're saying he's doing.
That's exactly what I'm saying here.
Right.
This is exactly, this is their plan.
I believe it. Yeah.
You're absolutely on target. All right. So in line with cutting the military funding, we move to the next box for weakened command of generals. During the Obama, I just talked about this, was the ISIS thing. During the Obama administration, the don't ask, don't tell policy was repealed. Transgenders were allowed in and women in combat was pushed. This created weakened commands in the U.S. military. A military report called the Marine found that units were less lethal, slower, and more injury prone when transgenders were allowed. Females in combat cause a weakened state as well because men may be picking up the slack and foreign fighters are indifferent to women in combat. So more women die as a result. The possibility of shared bunks between genders increases, which would cause more issues for commanders. Overall, the policies created a less capable fighting force.
Makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Weaken the command of the generals. And then Obama went straight up and did that with the whole, hey, generals, I'm taking over this stuff with ISIS. And they expanded. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Is that take care of those 4? We can continue. All right. Number 5, kill NASA, space supremacy, and EMP risk. How long have we been hearing about an EMP attack? Long time.
Yeah.
They've been talking about it a long time. Oh God, my cat's coming. Don't my cat's gonna come up here. Skitty, I ain't got time for you. I'm in the middle right now. Yeah, let me move this off her bed real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Kill NASA, space supremacy, and EMP risk. How long is this one? Oh, this ain't very long. NASA was cut and private CIA Mossad. Get this. This is why I've always had a question about this dude. NASA was cut and private CIA Mossad, Elon Musk's SpaceX, replaced it during the Obama administration. SpaceX has a poor performance history, engine failures, and missing cargo. This lessened our missile technology shared with the U.S. military, which weakened our national defenses. Civilian infrastructure became more vulnerable to electromagnetic pulse as a result. NASA provided support for solar data from the Solar Optical Observing Network and Radio Solar Telescope Network. Without these programs, EMP risk became higher. Loss of power would have major implications to national security. Musk receives millions in government subsidies so he can push the cabal agenda, which is a nuclear missile club, K, and human drug gun trafficking ship scheme paid for with taxpayer funding and created through the Uranium One deal with Iran, Russia, North Korea. The satanic Illuminati cabal will use Musk's Tesla's Cal Solar SpaceX connections to launch nuclear missiles from their armada of container ships to keep people in line and to keep control of politics, world leaders, and intelligence agencies. There's also a threat to launch them at the sun, which we've heard that, and create a catastrophic CME flare. if anyone dares to bring the truth of their schemes to humanity. Now, let me address this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Elon Musk we see today, and this is why I've always said I can't put my finger on Musk, but I think the evil Musk, the one that wanted to do all this, I don't think he's with us anymore. I'll just leave it at that. Yes, really. That's what I believe.
Or maybe he changed sides.
Or maybe he did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just doesn't, I mean, I guess he's aging because, I mean, to be honest with you, so off the record here for a second, you look at pictures of him back in the 2000s or whatever, he's not a very attractive guy.
I know. I mean, he still isn't, but he just looks different, I guess.
I mean, he's not as ugly as he used to be, I would say.
I guess.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he looks way different. So anyway, kill NASA, space supremacy. Basically, what you're doing is you're killing the infrastructure, which if you're killing the infrastructure and you're weakening the command of the generals and you're cutting military funding, that leaves the nation very open and very vulnerable to an attack, which could destroy us. All right.
All right.
Number 6, remove good guys from government and law. Valerie Jarrett, a progressive Marxist extremist, was used as a sniffer. According to Webster, a dog that is trained to recognize and follow scents, especially for the purpose of locating people or contraband. Jarrett is in charge of the trigger on the ship missile system. She uses a phone to direct messages. John Brennan regarding the warhead missile, ship placements, and the marker to be killed using the ships. She is Iranian, and her father was a Soviet spy. And her father-in-law, Vernon Jarrett, was also connected to Dr. Khalid al-Mansour, representing the Saudi royals. Vernon was also a political associate of the Communist Party and Obama mentor. Her uncle and grandfather, who were also leftists and have Islamic connections. So that was a thing on her. And let's see. This is one. Let's see. This is one reason why when there was riots and everything, it says police ordered. This was from a Q post. Police ordered to stand down by D mayor and D governors. Antifa coordinated safe zones. So any good guys who were actually upholding the law or enforcing the law back then, they were deemed they had to be getting rid of. How many times there was that one time that Obama came out and said, "Oh, the police acted stupidly." Remember that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he said the police acted stupidly. I can't remember why he said that, what the incident was. It was a race thing. Oh God, who was it? Maybe somebody in the chat remembers.
And I mean, good guys, taking the good guys out of government. Valerie.
Yeah.
So the description that you just gave, what is she? Is she a good guy?
No, Valerie was horrible. Yeah, she was a progressive Marxist extremist, and
right.
And she was Obama's right-hand lady.
Okay, so what are you saying? Are you saying that Obama brought her in?
Oh yeah, well, either that or she was his handler.
Okay.
Because so let's speculate. If Obama was a Manchurian candidate and he was placed in to be that puppet, do you think he would have been smart enough to pull all this other stuff off?
Right.
No,
Okay.
he needed a handler. So, so remove good guys, government and law. Okay. Okay. Number 7, the 7 box. Special access program sell-off. Hillary Clinton purposely used outside servers and a shadow IT, Brian Pagliano, and possibly others who did have clearances to leak special access programs. Information's out. Using her personal email also allowed her to avoid any FOIA request since she wasn't using an official government email. Obama knew about the servers and condoned it. SAPs are the most clandestine activities that are designated above top secret, and many emails had borne classified information on them, meaning classified from the start. IG reports show some emails on the server were there as early as 2009. The IG report was also modified and redacted by Rod Rosenstein, which left out additional classified information. He was the deputy director of the FBI. President Trump's attempt to declassify original unredacted reports were met with the cabal threat of ship missile threats and could not be released. So Trump was going to release the emails. However, they didn't have the power at the time to thwart the deep state. So the deep state, they threatened a ship missile threat and onto America. So that's why Trump's like, okay, well, we lost this battle. Let's continue on. When asked to produce the email evidence, Hillary Clinton deleted approximately 30,000 to 60,000 emails, and her servers were wiped clean, showing intent to deceive.
I remember that.
Yep. The classified information leak did irreparable damage to national security, since some contained information on the drone program and also had names of CIA, NSA, and other intelligence officers in them. The Comey FBI report, altered by Peter Strzok, and the matter downplayed the incident from gross negligence to extremely careless, helping to cover up her crimes. So they were selling off secrets, national secrets. Now, mind you, keep in mind that everything that they were doing was designed to destroy America. So everything we've talked about so far, yeah, that's not good for America at all. All right, here's another one. Number 8. Is that where we're at? Yeah. Weaken NSA and reveal programs. This goes into Snowden. In 2013, CIA Mossad Edward Snowden purposely leaked NSA spy programs, DARPA, Prisma, IQT, Keyscore, to weaken the NSA because the NSA had dirt on all the political corruption / human trafficking in DC, including the leaking of classified information to China from Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration. He fled to China and then ultimately Russia to wait out the rest of the operation. The plan was for her to win the election so CIA Director John Brennan could bring Snowden home. They never thought she would lose, but President Trump won, and CIA Director Gina Haspel replaced Brennan. So that whole Snowden thing, there's a lot of controversy surrounding him, whether he was a patriot or whether he was a traitor to the country.
Yeah, I know. I saw the movie, and I remember about him. I don't think it's safe, whether or not he's a patriot or not. I don't think it's safe for him to come back.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, I don't even look at that. I just look at what was revealed. What was revealed was basically every American was being spied on.
Right.
And then he had all these other things that he was exposing with the human trafficking and all that. All right. Let's see. Was there anything else on that one?
But how would that weaken the NSA? I mean, NSA. How would it weaken that?
Well, it would expose what they were doing. And
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be good for the American people to know what they were doing, but it would weaken the, they don't want that information. They wouldn't want that information getting out. So weaken national security. So basically, our national security from a citizen's viewpoint, in my opinion, I would think we would be weakened because, oh my God, anybody can see anything. Foreign countries can buy our information, see our stuff. It just weakens our security, I believe.
Okay, I kind of look at it the other way around, that it was the misuse of it, because we shouldn't be spying on our own citizens. We should be using it for the purpose of people
That's
who are
true.
coming in and out the country.
That's
So
true.
Edward kind of put the spotlight on that, which is why, in my opinion, it was a good thing of what he did, because it puts them accountable for what they're doing, because that's not what it was for, not to
Correct.
be spying on us. So that's just my idea about that one.
All right, so let me take just a couple minutes break because we're halfway through. So let me catch my breath and wet my whistle. Any comments? Let's entertain some comments real quick.
All right, let's see some comments, and I can bring up. Do you want to bring somebody up if they want to say something from the backstage?
If they have
Or-
something brief, if they have something briefly to say about this so far, it's fine. I don't want to go off on a tangent though.
Okay, let's see. Oh, Faded San Diego says Obama tried to cool down his comment with a beer summit at the White House. Police acted stupidly.
Oh,
And
yeah.
somebody. Okay, so I didn't know about that.
Yeah, okay. I remember that now.
John Marciano says it was a George Zimmerman case shooting the kid.
Okay. Oh crap! This says my battery power is at 15%. I got to make a change here. I got to cut lights off and plug my phone up. Hang on a second.
All right.
It's a good time to be taking comments.
All right, let's see. Let me keep scrolling up. John Marciano says Musk wants to go to Mars, but his rockets never got off right. All right. Jane says
Hang on,
he's
y'all. Sorry.
okay. Jane says he worried about his Tesla business, and man got 12 kids.
Jesus.
Steen says Musk can now land a nuke anywhere in the world. Jane says Jimmy is right. NASA was cut and we are number 2 in space and missiles, etc. Guess who is number 1?
China? Aren't they?
China? I don't know. Jane, let us know if you're still in the chat. Let us know who's number 1.
China or Russia?
China or Russia? Okay. I think that's about it for so far.
Sorry, guys. Hang on. Ask the chat real quick. Is any of this stuff making sense right now?
Yeah. Okay. So Jane says, yeah, China is number 1 now. Thanks, Jane.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All righty. Oh, plus when I went inside to get the information I needed, I had to check on the Braves score. Braves won.
Ah, okay.
So Jimmy's happy. All right. All right. So let's go into number 9. Target and weaken the conservative base.
Number 9.
In 1996, the Telecommunications Act led the FCC to reduce regulations on cross ownership. Since then, 5 corporations own 90% of the media, including films, newspapers, magazines, and books. AT&T, Xfinity, Disney, News Corp, and National Amusements. All of these, except for National Amusements, is owned by BlackRock and Vanguard by majority shares. Vanguard shareholders include elites like the Orsinis, the Bushes, the DuPonts, the Morgans, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Wallenbergs, and the British royal family. And Vanguard is the largest shareholder of BlackRock. Control of the media means control of the population, using propaganda to create and shape the narrative they want you to see, which at the moment is far left. This bias weakens the conservative base with constant attacks and lies from the left-wing media. Then it goes into talking about spying, social media and big tech being under control of CIA, CCP, and Mossad. LifeLog was a project of the Defense Advanced Research Project, DARPA, and the U.S. Department of Defense. And do you know what LifeLog became?
Nope.
The project was supposedly canceled at the same time that Facebook was created in 2004. So something that was created by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency and the Department of Defense to capture the flow of one's personal experiences and interactions and makes them accessible using artificial intelligence. So that's Facebook. What a better way to find out, and we're all guilty of it. We all fell for it. We are giving our lives. The government can see everything we freaking do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. So they use the media to target and weaken the base.
And yeah, weaken conservative base.
Yep. And they gave rise to the Tea Party in 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Not only do they spy on everyone, but they also use big tech to censor everyone as well. It also used as propaganda tool like the CIA, Mossad, mainstream media. These information warfare tools were used to defeat disinformation, at least their idea of disinformation, in the election and key other topics like news of Hunter Biden's laptop that they deemed necessary to control. Suppression of legitimate news sites like Breitbart, New York Post, and many others. Use of fact checkers to support their own narrative at the same time, allowing the CIA, Mossad, mainstream media, their far left news. Legitimate news about the 2020 election results, audits, or COVID-19 is severely moderated. So, and so they did that. They target and weaken the conservative voice. And there's a lot more on this. What I'll do, Facebook won't allow me to put the link on Facebook to all this information. So I'll put it on my X and maybe folks can go to there and look it up.
Oh yeah, definitely put this information on X so I could retweet it as well. And
there's a lot.
And Jimmy's handle, if anybody is interested, is in the description below. So you can go on X and follow him there. My X page is also there. So we share a lot of more stuff that other platforms don't allow us to share. So prepare yourself.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, there's probably, I probably have 30 some pages here. And so like that last category, there was like 2 pages on that. I'm not going to sit here and read it. I'm just trying to hit the highlights so you guys can understand what they were doing. Number 10, relax borders and flood illegals.
Yep.
Do I even need to talk about that?
Yep. I don't think we need to talk about that because we already know and we talk about it almost every Tuesday. And most of us do believe that it is deliberate, like we just said. They allow this to happen. It's allowed. And for what reason? 16-year plan. It's like now we actually have a reason to put it to. Like, this is what they're trying to do. They're purposely trying to ruin our country.
Yeah. There's like, how many pages on this one is there? Jesus. Bunch. Basically, it goes in here and talks about George Soros's Open Society Foundation, funding agencies like MS-13, ISIS terrorists, drug cartel members, where they came from. Hundreds have been convicted of murders as well as federal racketeering charges, which also indicate an alliance with the cabal. They use the women and children to get in our southern border. Soros and the Democrats sent MS-13 to strategic areas like sanctuary cities such as Chicago, New York, and throughout the country. Immigration and Customs Enforcement indicate the MS-13 are murderers, human drug traffickers, and sex traffickers. So then it talks about Trump wanting to build the wall and how they fought him against that. Trump also says that immigration affects our Mexico border security, which is true. We know that. There's a bunch of information. So I'm not going to dig too far deep on that one because we know that that's one way to have your country destroyed is open up your borders.
Right. And that's an easy one. That's not too hard to
not too hard to understand. Yeah. All right.
The next one is interesting though. Funding terrorism.
Oh yeah. All right. So how long is this one? Okay, not too bad. I'll give you the cliff notes. All right. So number 11, fund terrorism, MS-13 and ISIS. History lesson. Hillary Clinton's former deputy chief of staff, Huma Abedin, has Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda ties. She grew up in Saudi Arabia and went to 2 Wahhabist colleges, which are known for terrorism. Her parents and family members are connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. She also was a liaison between the Clinton Foundation donors and pay-for-play schemes. When Senator Michelle Bachmann brought up the issue of her connection to the Muslim Brotherhood in 2012 with the members of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and the House Judiciary Committee, Senator John McCain vehemently defended Abedin, and the issue quickly cooled. John McCain, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Britain, UK, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar are responsible for creating ISIS. Now, these were the people that were in power, remember back then, 2008, during that time period. We know that the people that are running Saudi Arabia right now are not the same people that were running it before during this time. All right. Where'd I leave all that? McCain was meeting with ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in Syria as early as 2013, evidenced by a photograph taken at that time. Clinton security had the weapons. This is important. Clinton secretly had the weapons transferred to ISIS and Al-Qaeda from Libya to Syria. The U.S. ambassador, Christopher Stevens from Benghazi, was also assisting. Qatar is also funding Representative Ilhan Omar in Michigan, and she is also working with U.S. intelligence connected to the U.S. Congress, assessing information for Iran. So this whole thing that happened in Benghazi was a cover-up because they were running Stinger missiles, and Stevens was supposed to go there and try to get the missiles back so they wouldn't go into the hands of ISIS. That's why he was taken out. That's what Benghazi. It wasn't about some organic uprising in the Muslim world for the, it's like the rights we have today. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They used that as a cover to take out Stevens from exposing that they were missile running,
Okay, that makes sense. And I saw that movie too. I mean, that was a huge thing that was all over the place. And I remember I was, living with my grandma, and that's all we talked about.
Yep.
Screaming over that because a lot of people felt like that was a cover up, like you said, like they took him out.
Yeah. There was way more to that story than people know about.
Wow.
Let's see. John McCain was a traitor, by the way. The McCain Institute is funded. I know I say that pretty aggressively, but yeah. Look at his wrinkled flag on his funeral. The McCain Institute is funded by elite cabal like George Soros' Open Society Foundation, the Aranda Rothschild Foundation, Sir Evelyn and Lynn Forrester D. Rothschild, and Jacob Wallenberg's foundations. Hillary Clinton's foundation is funded by the Australians through USAID, Commonwealth of Australia, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Rockefeller Foundation. Why is this important? All these foundations were created to funnel money.
I believe that.
Okay. If we go back to Trump's tax returns, he fought them all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
What did the Supreme Court decide? That Congress could see his taxes and any of his foundations or anything like that. So a precedent was set. So Congress or military or whatever can get access to all these foundations and their paperwork.
Yeah.
So that's why Trump says we have it all.
I hope he does, because exactly
Okay.
what they were trying to do to him, he should be doing that to his political enemies. But whatever.
Yeah. All right. So MS-13 gang members. Okay, we know about them. Funding the MS-13 comes from Bill and Melinda Gates through their CARE Foundation, which funds Casa del Migrante and gives the MS-13 and caravan supplies along the migration route to the U.S. border. George Soros Open Society Foundation is connected through the Southern Poverty Law Center. Excuse me. In 2021, President Biden canceled border wall construction that used military funds. This includes any overseas projects like schools, partner nation projects, and National Guard equipment. The money will now be reverted back to other military projects. Biden felt Trump was misusing the funds by shortchanging our military and security and diverting attention away from human traffickers. When you freaking, that's what y'all were doing.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that?
So they were accusing Trump of doing things that they were doing themselves.
Yeah.
Just like little Miss Letitia James, who is now in hot water for her mortgage fraud. And she brought the cases against Trump. Now it's done backfired onto her. All right. So yes, they have been funding terrorism, and got to keep the people scared. All right.
Right. And I do like how you can learn all of this type of stuff that Jimmy's talking about just through movies, because like San Diego just mentioned the movie 13 Hours, which is about the whole Benghazi stuff, and that's one of my favorite movies. So when you watch these types of movies and then you start connecting these dots that Jimmy's bringing out, it's a whole nother picture that you start seeing. And that's how I like to learn.
Yeah, this information right here, I can guarantee you that probably 90% of the people watching the video probably don't really know this stuff.
But it's all right there in front of you. Like,
exactly.
If you watch these movies, if you look at history, it's there, but it's just the surface. And once you start getting into it, it starts clicking, it starts making sense. And it's just sad how some people would just stay on the surface and just stay there. Like, they're comfortable with just the narrative that is given to them. Meanwhile, all these people like Hillary Clinton and Obama and all these and Biden, they get away with it. Well, that we think they get away with it, right?
They've gotten away with it for a while.
Right. They get away with it for a little while, but I hope that we will be seeing major stuff.
All right. So let's move on to number 12. We got 12 and 13. Nuclearized North Korea and Iran. 2008 to 2012, Hillary Clinton fails to reveal to the Hillary State Department a foreign donation of 2 million shares of stock from a foreign executive. August 2009, the FBI has an investigation going on a Russian bribery plot concerning Rostium and Uranium-1. You're going to hear more about Uranium-1. Kickbacks and money laundering were also involved. The DOJ held off on indictments until after the deal was made, making it less known to the public. May 14th, 2010, Bill Clinton gives speech in Moscow and receives $500,000 and then tries to meet with Russian nuclear officials during uranium decision. After getting permission from the State Department, Hillary Clinton, but through missed communication, he only met with President Putin instead in June. October 22nd, 2010, Uranium-1 deal approved. The Obama administration and Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States went through with the deal, even though the FBI had collected evidence that corruption was rampant in the Russian nuclear industry. Using a confidential witness to spy and gather most of the information, Moscow compromised an American trucking firm with kickbacks and bribes. It was essentially kept quiet until the deal could be completed. President Obama's deal approved the sale to Rosatom, giving Moscow more than 20% control of the United States uranium supply. June 2010 to 2013, Clinton Foundation received secret donations during 3 years of Uranium One deal using the Uranium One's chairman family foundation, totaling $2.35 million. These donations were undisclosed by Secretary Clinton. And in 2016, the U.S. State Department sends pallets of cash to Iran. We all heard about this. The U.S. State Department sends pallets of cash to Iran, totaling $400 million in exchange for hostages, claiming Iran couldn't accept checks or wires. And yet 2 days later, the U.S. Treasury wired 13 additional payments of $1.299999 billion. So
Well, that's crazy. Number one. Number two, when a president is caught in making these kinds of deals, why isn't that impeachable or like you go to jail for that? Like what?
because at the time they were in control, Ruby. The deep
Okay.
state was in control. The criminal syndicate was running everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So that's why they were able to get away with it. No more nuclear enrichment. Red Cross. So if you look at, let's just go back and let's look at what the media was reporting on. They kept saying that, oh, Kim Jong-un is firing off these missiles in North Korea. He's going to cause a problem. Iran, oh my goodness, they're going to start. The narrative was during that time period that American people had to be worried that a nuclear war was going to start with Iran and North Korea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they were building that narrative.
Yep.
So am I ready to go to, so basically what they were building was weaken our military, propagandize, brainwash the American citizens, reduce our national security, flood our borders, and then say, hey, we got a problem over here with North Korea and Iran. They might start a nuclear war. And then they're creating that narrative that there's going to be a World War III in America.
Right.
That's what they wanted to happen. They wanted to have a controlled war, and the United States was going to lose the war. And if you lose the war, you lose your Constitution.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you've said that many times. And now when you start from point one all the way to this point, it is a very good plan. Like it sounds step by step on what to do, how to do it, and how to pit one country against another country. And then when it makes sense why he told Trump, oh, you got to watch out for North Korea. Because that's exactly what he was on track to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, huh?
But what gets me is why would he say that? Like, why would he assume that Trump would go along with that point? Like, why even bring it up if, like, you should know that he's not gonna be on board with whatever little plan you got going on.
Maybe it was a desperation comment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why
testing the waters to see if this guy would come in on the corruption. Like, let's see if we could pull this guy in and make him one of us or something. Like, because I'm like, why would you do that? You should know this guy by now. The way he's been campaigning, the way just who he is. Did you really think that Trump was going to go along with that?
Yep. And the last point for the first 8 years of the plan: stage the Supreme Court. And that would entail the Scalia murder. So the information we have here, let's see. CIA Director John Brennan and Peter Strzok, whatever, used an intelligence community asset ICA with a dossier added to it, while Strzok's wife, Melissa Hodgman, was hiding Hillary's email evidence. Hiding Hillary's evidence was also the reason of former President Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch tarmac meeting in June of 2016. As an exchange, Lynch was promised a Supreme Court appointment once Justice Ginsburg stepped down. They always thought they would be safe having their nuclear missile ship armada to protect them. They murdered Anthony Scalia in February 2016 to maintain control of the Supreme Court, and Bill Clinton promised AG Loretta Lynch on the tarmac in June of 2016 a position on the Supreme Court. In return, Lynch was supposed to look the other way at any of Hillary's email server evidence, which she did. Hillary then appoints Justice Sonia Sotomayor to replace Scalia and advises Lynch the plan is for her to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Anthony Kennedy was shown evidence of this and was forced to step down under threat of missiles/death. RBG is also a multiple meaning the royal family of the Queen, so she oversaw the plan. So they were trying to stay, and that's why they were saying stuff about we need to expand the Supreme Court. We need to get as many of our people on there as we can. And that's why they fought Trump so hard when Trump said, no, we don't need to expand the Supreme Court. We need to leave it like it is. So, all right, those are the first 8 years. And from what it looks, and we'll go into part 2 next week, but because it's been 45 minutes. But what it's showing everybody is there was a legitimate plan in place to destroy his country. And everything I just brought out, you can look up, you can verify. It's all fact, unless you come up with something else and I didn't see it before. But it just shows you that there's more to what's going on in this world than a lot of you folks realize. It goes deep. And that's why it's not a good idea to just start going off on a story that comes out and you see the media pushing it, and then everybody's arguing about a certain story. They're keeping you distracted from things like this.
Yeah. Wow.
So
do you want to bring everybody back from
hiding? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, from backstage. Okay, awesome. Everybody is up on the stage.
Let me ask this for the chat too. What did you guys think about the presentation for the first 8 years with the plan to destroy America? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Does it make sense to you? Does it kind of explain some of the things that we see happening right now? Because we're going to get into the second part next week. But what are y'all's thoughts?
Well, I followed it, item by item, and it all seems to fall into place. Just by reading current events of that time and the progression of each of those items that you were bringing out in those boxes, it is true. And don't forget, remember Hamidine, her husband was a congressman by the name of Weiner.
Yep.
And he was involved in a lot of that too.
Well, on Weiner's laptop, they found a folder in there that said insurance policy. And when the FBI opened up that laptop, okay, this is what's being allegedly reported. I can't verify it because I wasn't there, but they said out of the 13 FBI agents that witnessed what was in that folder, 9 of them threw up in the office when they saw it.
Well, Peter Strzok, he said that he had a guarantee plan that Trump would not be reelected.
Yep. He sure did.
But when he did get elected, then there was a new plan to bring in have him disbarred, impeached.
Oh, yeah.
And then so they got Dr. Fauci to develop or release the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. What folks don't realize is they never thought, like it says in the title, they never thought she was going to lose. And they messed up because they didn't have time to get rid of all this evidence, all this documentation, all these governmental emails. They didn't have time to cover it all up. So when Trump takes office in 2017, he had that information. It was available to him. He saw what they were doing. He saw their plan. But that was taken care. I mean, we do believe that things have been taken care of in the manner, but as far as the public is concerned, he couldn't come out in 2017 and say, hey, America, guess what? Your government is screwing the crap out of you, and this is what they're doing. No one would have believed it.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a different time back then.
when Comey made the statement about Hillary on television, that Hillary, even though she committed these terrible things and broke the law, she did it without intent.
Yeah. And he also said no, what was it? No prosecutor in their right mind or something like that would take a case like this.
Yeah.
No reasonable prosecutor would take a case like this.
And as soon as he said that, I knew something was up.
Mm-hmm. That was in July of 2016.
Yes.
Wow.
While she was running for president. And that's why when they were on the debate stage and Hillary Clinton said, you know, it's really good that someone like you is not running our Justice Department or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he said, yeah, because you'd be in jail. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
With uranium one, I'm telling y'all that story. You're going to, and you remember her hitting a reset button with the Russian. They were hitting a reset button, like one you would find at freaking Office Max or something. Oh, we have a new relationship with Russia. This is why. This is why Vladimir Putin. I don't believe, me personally, I don't believe that's the real Vladdy Putin either. I think we're seeing a Putin 2.0.
Remember when Clinton, she brokered that deal to sell 85% of our uranium to Russia?
Yes. Why? Why would you sell uranium secrets to a country that you deemed as one of your enemies?
It's for political favors.
Yep. So
and money.
Yep. What's the chat saying? What's the chat saying? What do you think, Ruby, right now?
Right before I comment, Fallen, did you want to make a comment?
Honestly, I have bad comprehending all this, honestly.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the episode back a few times. And also go to Jimmy's X page, and he has the big picture episodes where he kind of dives a little bit more deeper into it. But on the surface level, we have been touching on these little by little.
Yes.
Throughout my whole entire channel show, we've been touching on this because I believe in like 90% of everything that we just talked about. I already believed it before I even met Jimmy. So these are the types. Go ahead, Jimmy.
All I was trying to do was, you know, I said it in the big picture, the very first big picture episode. When you're trying to figure out the big picture of a puzzle, the first thing you got to do is you got to put the frame together. And then once you get the frame together, then you can work on each little section. So we've kind of done it in reverse with this show. We've talked about a lot of these things before. We were talking about certain sections, but I felt like I wanted to share this with everybody because this gives you the border to be able to figure out what in the hell does this picture look like. and it's
Right.
bi-
I mean,
and it,
when I
it's
think of a puzzle, like I think of like one of those puzzles that you put on the table, and like you see like
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of, I
Well,
mean, if you look at
but
the picture, then you
Jimmy,
try to put the puzzle together. So I mean,
uh,
what I'm saying is I think I might need to have like summary of like the list of things like simply in one sentence, because I'm hard at lectures.
Yeah, and I also learn through videos, through movies or videos in video
Yeah.
form. I'm a visual learner. So a lot of these things, you got to really, really open your mind and open your eyes when it comes
there's a lot
to
of pieces to that puzzle. So there's more than one sentence is going to answer your question.
yeah,
Right.
it
It's just
and
there's just a lot of like years. I have to think about like 2016, about like DNC servers. Like there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of people that I don't know.
yeah,
Like
Yup.
I know that we mentioned Diddy, and like, I'm still trying to comprehend that too itself. Like I remember
Mm-hmm.
TikTok coming out, and that was by Kesha, and so it's kind of weird listening to that song,
Oh yeah, and she changed the
because it's
lyric to
like,
that too.
yeah.
what's
People
going
people are
on? Like,
changing.
I'm not understanding what Diddy exactly did, because I'm not really watching these videos. I'm just kind of clean, I'm just in my own world. And I just participate here. But
A lot of people are. You
And
have
yeah,
to
I
do
don't
your
know. It
homework.
just
Yeah.
Well, how did he live that
But these
lifestyle
people,
like he
though,
did?
they don't affect me personally. It's like I never met Diddy. Like,
Um hold on. Joseph wanted to say something. What were you saying, Joseph?
When you're talking about Diddy, he was basically a record owner of a rap records. How did he become so wealthy or so and live the lifestyle of a billionaire when he wasn't? So somebody was funding him. He
yep,
sold his soul to those who controlled him, the same way as Epstein, even though he was very powerful and very rich, but somebody made him that way.
yeah.
It was
And think, I'll go back to the one of the points on the boxes here when I talked about the CIA Mossad using madams like Heidi Fleiss and her little book, Allison Mack, all these girls that were used. It says madams like, and you can throw Epstein and you can throw Diddy into this. Madams like her use blackmail to secure power around the world for CIA Mossad with evidence, filmed or otherwise, of powerful individuals doing unconscionable things. Already shown by Allison Mack's involvement with Nexium, she was the madam for that cult and groomed victims in much the same way as sex slaves and Ray Chandler equals Allison Mack's time 100. Mack was also connected to the Rothschilds through the Bronfman family. Britney Spears may have been a victim of their grooming, and her recent Instagram post imply she may tell their secrets. They openly flaunt satanic symbols in art, hand signals, jewelry, and many other ways, thinking no one will ever figure out their secrets, but this symbolism will be their downfall.
well, they
Um,
had a Grammy show one year that it was all demonic,
correct.
satanic.
Now, I'm betting a lot of people don't know what Nexium is. Do you know about that, Ruby? All right, go to my Facebook page. Go to my Facebook page. We're gonna play a little video,
Okay, let's see.
what is
and
it called again?
I hope I repost. I hope I reposted it on my Facebook page.
Nexium?
Yeah,
How do you spell
Nexium.
that?
NXIVM. So yeah, go to my
So what is
Facebook
it? The
page.
drug?
No, you'll see. Hang on a second. I can explain it with a
I'm
little
sorry.
video.
All right, we're gonna go to Jimmy's Facebook page.
It would have been done here in like the last 5 or 6 hours. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, did I post it? Ah, crap. Okay. So this is important. Let me jump off of here for a second. Let me go find it. I'll send it to your DMs on X, but I need to go find this because everybody needs to see this.
Okay, no problem.
I'll
I
be
will
right
go
back.
to X. All right. So while we're waiting for Jimmy, let me check out these comments. I like Julian's comments. He says money incentivize incentives both left and right. All money motivation. And I believe that 1,000%.
Well, take for instance the pharmaceutical industry. You know, they have the largest lobbyists in DC. They have so many lobbyists that they have one assigned to each representative in Congress and each senator in the Senate.
Yep.
And they take them out to lunch, they wine and dine them, they give them money for their campaigns, and a lot of other perks that are under the table, including women and whatever.
Exactly.
It's very common knowledge. I used to work with a colleague of mine when I was working in the oil and gas industry. His father-in-law was a speech writer for a notable senator, and his father-in-law informed him that every day at lunch or when they got off, they had nothing but limousines with call girls in them, and every senator went into those cars and they took off. So there's a lot going on, and it has been going on. Our government is corrupt.
Yep. All right. I think Jimmy is back here. All right, Jimmy, how is it?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it is on my Facebook page. Go to my Facebook page.
Okay.
You'll see the Smallville thing. I'm sorry. My bad, y'all.
Okay. So keep scrolling down.
No, go back up. Go back up. Go back up.
Oh, back up.
Until you see Smallville.
Smallville. Okay.
Yeah, Superman.
Yeah.
Superboy.
This will explain it right
Okay,
there.
right here.
Yep, that'll explain it. Play that.
You remember the show Smallville? Well, this Smallville actress got involved in a cult, and she apparently tried to pull Emma Watson into it as well. Now, the woman's name is Allison. She's 18 during this time. She's an actress, and she's been on the Hollywood grind for over a decade. She was in Camp Nowhere. She was in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. She was in Seventh Heaven. But one day in 2001, her whole life changes because she gets cast in this new show called Smallville about a young Superman, and Allison plays his sidekick. And this role is great for her, and she's really good in it. But despite the success, she can't help but feel like there's something missing in her life, and that feeling is about to get her in a lot of trouble. Now, Allison has a friend, this woman, Kristen, and Kristen is also an actor on Smallville. And Kristen apparently understands that Allison is feeling lost and she wants to help her out. So one day in 2006, she invites her to a meeting with a self-help group, which is part of a larger organization called Nexium. And so Allison is like, self-help? All right. And she decides to give it a shot. And so Allison goes to this group, and this group ends up being straight up a cult. But Allison, she's naive. She doesn't know that. And so she meets a bunch of people there, including a few women who low-key want to recruit her into this cult real bad. And they want to recruit her because she's on TV. She's moderately famous. And having famous members always makes cults look more legit. And so they tell her they can help her out and that joining them will solve all her problems and will advance her acting career and all this nonsense. One of them even flies Allison on a private jet to go and meet the founder of this self-help group. The founder is this guy, Keith. And Keith, he's a weird dude, but he's extremely smart, or at least he claims he is. He claims he's some kind of genius, and he takes himself very seriously. He and the other members call him Vanguard and shit. But we're not going to call him that because that's actually stupid. Anyway, so Allison's like, all right, maybe this guy can help me. And so she decides to join Keith and NXIVM. And from here, she gets sucked into the world of this cult. And they give her a sense of community, and they promise to fix whatever's bothering her and help her acting career. And honestly, she feels pretty good about these people and about this place. And over the next few years, she gets more and more dedicated to NXIVM and to Keith. And Keith, he starts making extreme demands from her and the other members. Like he'll tell them to lick up a puddle of mud or run headfirst into a tree. And I guess the members will just do it. Like, okay, here we go. He also teaches them bullshit like how women should be monogamous, but men are supposed to be polygamous, which just ends up being a sleazy way for him to get laid with multiple partners. Regardless, all of this conditioning works on Allison, and she gets more and more isolated from the outside world, and she starts losing friends outside the cult. And pretty quickly, her whole world revolves around Keith. In fact, it's rumored that she and Keith start smashing. And while that seems very likely, in my opinion, that isn't actually confirmed. Now, by this point, it's 2011, and Smallville has wrapped, the show's done. And Allison isn't really acting much anymore. All her time is completely invested in this cult. She's out here making recruitment videos for them.
And then that expanded out and out and out into the rest of my life. And now I have the most beautiful friendships.
And eventually, around 2015 or so, Keith lets Allison in on this big secret project he's doing called DOS, aka The Vow. And this is where the group members will have, and I'm not making this up, master-slave relationships. Specifically, I think they mostly mean sex slave, which is pretty much just a scheme that Keith comes up with so that he can surround himself with submissive women to smash with. So anyway, in this master-slave scenario, Keith himself is a master, but he also puts Allison in a master role so that she can go out and recruit slaves. And Allison, she really wants to please Keith, so she puts a lot of effort into her role. And she recruits as many women into this cult slave program as she can. And she'll generally lure the women in by telling them that they're joining a female mentorship program or a women's movement. And once the women are in and they become full-fledged members and they're all brainwashed, that is when they get blackmailed. The cult will make them hand over what they call collateral, which is basically embarrassing or incriminating stuff about them, like nudes. And they threaten to release this collateral everywhere if these members disobey or reveal anything to the public about the cult. And once they get the collateral, Allison and the cult will force them to basically become sex slaves, where they have to smash with their master. And a master is a cult member with many slaves. Most masters have 5 or 6 slaves. One master claimed that they have 22 slaves that they're smashing with. And if that isn't bad enough, they then force the slaves to get a symbol branded on their pelvises. The symbol is actually a mashup of Keith's and Allison's initials. And so who sits at the top of this weird master-slave pyramid? Of course, the self-proclaimed genius himself, Keith. Keith has declared that he is allowed to smash with any of the collateral will be made public. And allegedly, Keith himself has more than 50 slaves in this pyramid. And not only that, it seems like Allison even tries to recruit Emma Watson, Hermione herself, into this cult by tweeting at her. I'm a fellow actress like yourself and involved in an amazing women's movement. I think you'd dig. I'd love to chat. And a month later, she tries again. I participate in a unique women's movement I'd love to tell you about. And then 3 weeks later, she tries a third time. I don't think Emma Watson ever wrote her back. Hermione ain't trying to be a no-sex cult. But anyway, with all of the power Keith and the Masters hold over each of these slave members, it seems like he and Allison and the others can keep this weird-ass sex pyramid scheme going, like, forever. Until... Okay, at some point, some of the members and former members, I guess they have a moment where they're all like, this is kind of weird, right? And so one of them or all of them get in contact with the New York Times and they expose everything. The abuse, the branding, the master-slave relationships, all of it. And then in 2017, kaboom, the New York Times publishes the story and it goes public. And people read it and they're like, oh snap, the girl from Smallville is in a sex cult? And that gets the attention of the FBI. And so the FBI starts investigating. And Keith, I guess he gets word that the FBI is looking into him and he leaves town and he moves from New York all the way down to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. But unfortunately for him, the feds are pretty good at what they do, and they're also pretty good at finding people. So in 2018, they find him in Mexico, and with the help of the Mexican feds, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot.
The suspected head of an alleged cult that reportedly branded female members now faces charges in the United States after he was arrested and extradited from Mexico.
And shortly after that, in New York, bam, they arrest Allison too. Here's her mugshot. And they also arrest some of the other cult members, the ones who rank high. And Allison takes a plea deal and she gets sentenced to 3 years in prison. While Keith, he gets charged with a bunch of stuff, including sex trafficking and sexual exploitation of a minor, because I guess one of the girls in the cult was underage. And he gets sentenced to 120 years in prison. Wow. Do you remember that show Smallville? Well, this Smallville...
That's crazy.
I remember this story breaking. I remember it now.
So
it's like Scientology in a way.
So it just shows, these people were bought and paid for. These people were being controlled. And this is just one of the little rings that were out there. And the only reason this one got so much attention is because of Allison Mack. Then you had the whole Ray Chandler thing, which Ray Chandler, like the thing said a second ago, she's 100 times worse than Allison Mack. And so Ray Chandler was the one that was filmed when she was about 14 or 15. She was filmed, hold on. Let me backtrack. That was actually Virginia Guffrey, the one that just died. But I do know that there's she was with Eminem. Ray Chandler was pictures with Eminem and a lot of other celebrities. So it's the whole child sex trafficking and abuse. It's that whole ring. Pedophiles.
Right. So that's go ahead, Fallen.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm glad I have a mind of my own. Like these are a lot of women that were in this. Who was the top? The man, right? They brainwashed them and shit. And who was the people that were brainwashed? Women or cis women or biological women, you want to say? Like, they're women.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of women got caught up into this, but that's the connection that Jimmy is making with all this deep state stuff, is that this is allowed to happen. In my opinion, it is allowed to happen and to fester, and only until it leaks, like this story leaked to the New York Times, that the FBI gets involved and actually does their job. But how many other little thousands of cults you think are out there?
Oh, that's
there's over 1,000 cults in the United States alone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, if you think there's NXIVM and everybody's all Epstein and Diddy, but wait till you find out about Richard Branson and his island. The son of God dude, the guy that was real close friends with Oprah Winfrey. There was another big mogul. He just died here recently, and He was from Canada. God, can anybody in the comments help me? He was arrested on child trafficking and stuff. He was from Canada, had an island down around the Epstein Island area. I think he fled to France. But yeah, oh God, his name
Jim Carrey? No.
No, it was somebody help me.
There is no comments coming in right now. Sorry, Jimmy, but if
Yeah, I'm
anybody can
looking
think of
too.
it.
But yeah, but he was. Let's just say he would be like Epstein's uncle. Okay, if you had to make a comparison. So,
Oh, I see a comment.
what's the name?
What comment do you see?
I see women are evil too, because I mentioned that what did we see in the video? That it was mostly women that were being brainwashed.
And yeah, that's why he appointed her so she could recruit.
Right.
Being branded.
Because it's written in the Bible that a man is above a woman and a woman is below a man and below a woman is a child and above a man is a god. So it's like you put this brainwashing thing or this, you know, it's like, okay, I am small, I am feminine, and I am, I guess, weak. So it's like you want to treat me this way and make me seem stupid and insecure. I'm not insecure. I'm secure. I love myself. I think I'm beautiful. And you can't tell me what to do. Like, who are you, sir? I'm not going to go in your cult. I don't want,
we do have some comments here. So the first one comes from Dallas. He says Worldwide Church of God called by Herbert Armstrong. Does that ring a bell?
That's not the one I was thinking of.
Okay, another comment.
Well, he's dead now. He's dead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God, I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Lisa says Peter Navarro.
No, not Peter Navarro.
Okay, so that I think
John something. John. Jesus, it'll hit me later.
Okay, so let us know if it hits you.
A&E did a whole expose on him on 2 nights. There was a 2-night expose on A&E about this guy. And it was around the time Sound of Freedom came out too.
Oh,
but what I found interesting is look when they caught these guys. It said 2017. Trump just came into office. He just took power in 2017. And if you look at the DOJ website and all the arrests for human trafficking and child trafficking, it skyrocketed during Trump's first term. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm really glad we got to do this part 1. Part 2 we're going to do next week. I do have one more subject that I wanted to talk about. Oh, and the money video we're going to have to save for next week as well.
Yeah, I was already going to think about that. There's no way we can get the money video done tonight.
Yeah, so I will edit the title later on, but I do wanted to talk about a little bit of a topic about freedom of speech. Okay, so if anybody knows or if you don't know, let me know in the comments if you have heard the new song that Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, put on the internet recently.
Ruby, sorry.
Yes.
Lisa Sands came through. Jean-Luc Burnell.
There you go. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. That was the name I was looking for. Go look this dude up, guys. Go look that guy up.
Okay, I'll leave the name there so people could write it down.
All right. Sorry.
I just screenshot it.
Yeah. Okay. Google
my
that
apologies.
name, do some homework, and whatever you come up with, come back next Tuesday and share it with us.
All right. Sorry. My apologies.
Okay, so back to the freedom of speech, because we talk about that a lot, and we are big supporters of freedom of speech. But what does that really mean, having freedom of speech? I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this because Kanye West just just released a new song, and the title of the song is How Hitler. And when we talk about freedom of speech, question that I wanted to give everybody in the comments, everybody on the panel: does he have the freedom of speech to write a song like this, title a song like this, even though it may be offensive to a group of people? And I do want to give the other side, the other perspective from a Jewish what you call it, political commentator, which we all know who he is, Ben Shapiro. We've shared his comments before. He recently came out, and if you can guess, he is in complete opposition to this song. But I wanted to play his opinion before we get the opinion of everybody else. And if you haven't heard the song already, go look up that song, look at the lyrics, listen to it, and be a little bit open-minded, because Ben is gonna explain.
Damn, I thought you were gonna play it.
Well, I can't play the song if
That's what I thought you were gonna do.
But Ben plays the song and he bleeps it out. So that's why I wanted to play his
cool
his position, because at least he included it, so I don't have to do it. I don't have to get in trouble for it.
Cool deal.
Okay, so let's watch.
So he now has a new song titled Heil Hitler. So just in case you were still pretending that Kanye West doesn't hate Jews, I'm pretty sure he hates the Jews. I mean, two things can be true at once. One, mental illness. Two, hates the Jews. Both can be true. And in fact, in Kanye West, are true. So he's now cut an entire music video. Again, this is all about transgressiveness. It's all about transgressivism. That's all it is. And so many of the people who are parroting the Heil Hitler Kanye West song are doing so because they think it's fun to be transgressive, and all rules must be broken, because if you're standing up to the narrative, you're doing something brave and amazing. Or maybe you're just being a piece of... That's also possible. Here is Kanye West's song, Heil Hitler.
See my Twitter, but they don't see how I be feeling. So I became a Nazi, yeah. I'm the villain.
Right.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter.
So the actual line is N-word Heil Hitler. Okay, but it's a hard R with Hitler and it's a no R with the N-word, is the way this works. If, by the way, you say the reverse, that means you're a racist and you're banned from polite society. If you say the N-word that ends with an A, but you say Heil Hitler with the hard R, then that means that you're good, transgressive, and interesting to a wide variety of people, apparently, on both right and left. So that's exciting stuff. I'm glad that we've decided to do this as a society. And social media, of course, has exacerbated all of this, because transgressive behavior gets clicks, it gets attention. That, of course, is why Andrew Tate, one of the most vile people in social media, decided that, he's constantly piggybacking on the social media attention whoredom of others. So here he was jumping in a fancy car in UAE, I believe this is, while playing the Kanye West song, because all the best people are of a piece. He's smoking a cigar and getting into a fancy car paid for by the people that he is allegedly ripping off with Tate University. So that's exciting for all of you. And he puts on the song and then he starts driving down the street. What a rebel he is. Truly a rebel. This is the kind of... the social media scene has made the world so much better. By the way, if you think this has no bleed over, why are we paying attention to this? Because social media popularity now translates into mainstream breakthrough. We have seen this. We have seen people who were completely anonymous 2 years ago, who, because of the bizarre algorithmic boosts provided by X and TikTok, have now become kind of internet famous. And then they make a breakthrough into actual famous podcasts, for example. And suddenly they're showing up. And you're like, who is this person? Why is this person here? And the answer is they got a lot of clicks. There is an interesting racial breakdown. Black Americans, over a fifth of them say Hitler had some good ideas. Presumably Kanye is in that category. 19% of Hispanic Americans said the same. Just 9% of white Americans said the same. So I don't know, put me on the side of people who say Hitler actually did not have good ideas. His ideas were trash. And the people who support them today are trash. And the people who invoke them today as some sort of progressive strike against the leftist machine. There are so many ways to oppose leftist censorship, valuable ways to oppose leftist censorship. There are so many things that can be said that the left doesn't want you to say that actually have inherent real value.
Okay, so that's the gist of it. And this is not going to be debatable. This is just me presenting this side of freedom of speech, because Ye has every right to make a song like that, to write lyrics like that, and to post it the way he did. The
Well,
social
it was
media platform.
produced and presented to the public. Somebody produced it, and it probably went through ASCAP to be approved, so it was published.
Well, he is his own now. He's not. He's completely
But it
independent.
has to go through ASCAP. They have
Mhm.
they have the rights for everything. They control the rights.
Okay.
Even if you
Okay.
own the song, even if you own the song.
Right. Right. But the point I'm bringing up is that he has every right to sing whatever lyric he wants, to title the song that he did, and the social media platforms have a right to censor it or to not produce it. Like Spotify took it down, Apple took it down. They already don't like him for his views from the past. But his persistence, his consistency, his pushback on the narrative is what I appreciate. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be, the Hitler stuff. But the fact that he's pushing against that narrative is what I appreciate. The song, the lyrics is not just the words that he's saying. You know what I'm saying? How Hitler is just a word. The N-word is just a word that invokes these emotions. But listen to the song, listen to what he's saying. What's the message behind the message that he's putting in that song?
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to ask people in the chat if they heard it. If you haven't heard it, listen to it, get an opinion, and next Tuesday come back. And if you have one, I would like to hear it because in my opinion, I love it. This is what freedom of speech really is. If you really are for freedom of speech, this is what it means. Go ahead, Jimmy. Bring your point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want to say. That's, you know, if you don't like what I say, you don't like what Kanye says, turn us off. Don't listen to it. Move on. And you asked the question earlier, what does freedom of speech mean to me? Meaning to me that I can say anything I want to as long as I'm not inciting harm to someone else. So
Right.
the leftist argument has always been, oh, well, you can't yell fire in a movie theater. Well, of course not, dumbass. Sorry. That's going to cause harm to people. So no, I don't agree with yelling that.
Right.
But if I want to put out a song like Kanye did, I should be able to have the freedom to do that
In America.
And Ben Shapiro, I'm not a huge fan of Ben Shapiro.
Me neither.
I'm sorry. He just looked like a whiny little boy in that clip. It just looked like he was whining the whole time.
Who's Ben Shapiro?
The guy we
That
just
was
watched.
the political commentator, Ben, the one that I just showed. He's a political
Well,
commentator.
he's of the Jewish,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the one that was talking about the
he's
video.
Jewish,
Okay.
naturally he would
That's
be
right.
offended by it. But just like Jimmy said, all you have to do is don't listen to it or just turn the radio off whenever it comes on.
But again, you got to think about the motivation behind why Ben Shapiro would do this. He could have just ignored this whole thing.
Yep.
But Ben Shapiro knows, hey, what sells? Division, racism, that's what sells. That's
Well,
why he did the video.
He's in the
I
business.
released the music video, but it's not viral. Mine is like gradually getting up there. Like I noticed whenever I look back into the music video that I made, it's gradually getting more and more, but it's not quick. Which I find interesting because honestly, that was the point of the video that I made. I didn't want people to clap. I wanted people to get paralyzed because I can't believe that I had to rap something like that.
And that's what all artists do in their own way. That's what they're showing, right?
Yeah.
So demonizing Kanye's way of portraying his message, but he has the freedom of speech to do that. But here's the flip side, right? Because a lot of people say, sure, you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want, but you don't have the freedom of consequence. consequences.
Correct.
So if you do decide to say the N-word in public, or Heil Hitler in public, or to wave a Confederate flag in the South or the North, or to do, something of that nature, you are not free of the consequences that may come with saying or doing something like that.
Right.
He can afford to do that, okay? He's like, what, a billionaire now?
Yeah.
Ye can afford to talk like that, release a song like that, and people have the right to play it in their cars and to sing along to it and to post videos of themselves singing the song. But what happens?
You know what's interesting? I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
really
ahead.
I'm really interested to see. I need to go back and listen to the song because I think I know where it's going to go.
Yeah, listen to it.
I really do think it's
I
going to
want to
go.
listen to it. I'm going to listen to it after this. This is my homework.
But
This is literally, I wrote it down in my book right here. I'm actually writing down notes tonight.
yeah,
But
I got to listen to it. It's
So
gonna be-
I want
I'm
you guys.
taking this. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I brought it up because this is exactly what I want you guys to do. I want you to listen to the song and listen to it many times. I understand what he's saying, but also remember who Kanye is. Okay, he's an artist, he's a celebrity, they're entertainers. Once again, I don't believe, take everything with a grain of salt. I don't believe that Ye actually believes in these things, because he did release another song that was totally disturbing. And people are taking that as a joke. But
What do
then
you
they
mean?
take that.
Well, is he off the religious side of his business now? Of
That
making
was in the past. Yeah. Like he's had many phases as an artist, right? But this is what bothers me, is that they'll take one album or one song and they'll take offense, like Heil Hitler, right? But then other songs or other things, they say, oh, he's just an artist. This is just art, or this is just, you know what I'm saying? Like they blow it off like that. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. So after you listen to the song next Tuesday, come on board and let me know how you feel about it, and really dive into the psychology and do
Yeah,
your
it's gonna be
research on the history of Kanye, because he's had many,
Okay.
many.
Does anybody remember in the, I don't know if you're old enough, in the 1980s, there was a movie, a very controversial movie about the temptations of Christ.
Is
Have
that
you
the
ever
title of the movie?
Yes, the temptations of Christ.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, it's very controversial.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never
Yeah, I'm
heard
writing
that.
that down too.
Yeah.
What was that other freaky song though that you were talking about Kanye? Like back to
Yeah, he
that.
there was a lyric in the song that he performed oral sex on his family member or something like that, and I thought it
So
was
what song is that
disgusting.
called?
I
What
don't
song is
know.
that
You're
called?
gonna have to look it up. I don't know. I thought it was a little disturbing, and people are taking it as a joke, or like, he doesn't really mean that. And then other people are saying that, that's why he's mentally ill, or that's why he has trauma or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody can interpret it differently. But do your research on the history of Ye, because he's had many run-ins with, like TMZ and all his meltdowns on the internet. I have been following his
Yeah, but his mother
downfall.
was a highly educated professor at a very, a major Ivy League school. So he was taught, the classics when he was a young child, yet at the same time was abused by his family.
Hey Ruby, I wanted to. John made a comment that made me laugh about Ben Shapiro having 20 years. I wanted to make sure I was on the same page with Steen. Steen said, "You can't yell fire in a cinema just to exercise freedom of speech." Yeah, I agree with you. If that's, I don't know if there was a disconnect there or something.
That's
But
like a sarcastic joke. It's
yeah,
like you're literally putting
yeah,
people in a worry.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. You don't do that. So just wanted to make.
But when
Go ahead.
you go down the rabbit hole of what Kanye has said throughout the years, he has made reference to sacrifice, selling your soul. A lot of what Jimmy talks about on the show, he has confirmed some of those things too.
Ooh, Speaking of freaky videos, Ruby, have you
Yeah.
ever watched Katy Perry's video Bon Appetit?
No.
Is that a music video, you mean?
Yeah, can you play music videos on here?
Oh, no.
Won't they? They'll
But
just
I'll
scrub
watch
it.
it.
They'll just scrub it, right?
Bon appetit.
Yeah.
I need to listen to these songs, man. I'm writing it down. Bon
Oh man, I wish
appetit.
we could play it for the audience because damn, once you see that, you're like, what?
By Katy. I love Katy Perry. I think of
Yeah.
Firework.
But yeah, but look up Bon Appetit.
Okay,
Bon
I'm gonna look. That's homework, everybody. Write that down if you're taking notes, because I just wrote it down. So Katy Perry, I'm gonna watch it, and then by next Tuesday, that's another thing we're gonna bring up. There's a lot we have to catch up on.
Yo,
But
I just realized I need to start taking notes, and that's why I have this notebook now. Because
now you have a
ever
notebook just for the
since-
show.
Yeah,
I told
this
everybody
is like
you
my
might want
midweek
to.
meeting. It's like my midweek meeting. You know when your midweek meeting, guys.
Yeah,
It used to be
yeah,
Joe's
let's-
when it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
good
You
times. Good
remember
times.
the book studies? Remember the book studies?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
you-
I remember the book study. Yep.
I've tried to warn everybody. Go ahead and get a piece of paper and something to write with, because we cover a lot of stuff.
That's why I got this, bro.
And we are learning learning in real time. But the reason why I bring this stuff up is because we are learning in real time what these things actually mean. Yeah, I see it.
My best
because
friend gave me
remember
this. I'm sorry.
Because remember when we mentioned about Shiloh Hendrix, when she said the N-word in public and she was getting recorded, remember that I
Yeah.
showed last week?
Yeah.
And then now Kanye comes out with something like this. A lot of people on the internet are on the same, like, it's going viral. It's blowing up the internet because people are sick and tired about the censorship of speech. And I would say the same thing about that lady. She has every right to say the N-word in public, right? But what about the consequences?
Yes, but
I've never been raised to say it. I'm
but
sorry. I just
but you, other than being a Mayate or black, you can't say that word, but they can say it readily because it's in their culture.
Right. But
that's why I never say it. It's not my culture.
Right. But
But
that's a problem, though.
they
I say
changed
this though.
they changed the word from ER to putting the A at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's acceptable.
Yeah, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what they want. The culture wants that. They promote that. It's in almost every hip hop song. But in my opinion, that's not okay either. They shouldn't be using it either. But they appropriated it. That's the excuse. Oh, we appropriated this word that was said to us in a negative way. Now they try to turn it around and use it as like a what's up, like a phrase, like hey, blank, and they talk to each other like that. And I find that so wrong. Like, nobody should be saying it, right? If it's such a bad word.
You're not the only one that says that. My ex-husband says the same.
Well, you could turn a phrase or a good word into a bad meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
well, just like fallen ashes.
Huh?
What if I said Bahalahana?
You said Bahalahana. I don't know. I mean, for me, it sounds funny.
Well, it was an old phrase in the Philippines, especially in the 60s. They had a negative connotation, but originally, during the revolution, it had a good meaning. But the next generation after World War II turned it into a negative phrase.
So,
negativity.
I mean, Bahala. What is that supposed to mean, though? Is this a real word, Bahalahana?
Yeah, it means come what may.
Come what may. I mean, I've heard of hayop, which means you're an animal, so that's bad. Don't say that to somebody in the Philippines. That's a bad word.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you now.
Don't call a Spanish person, well, say, like, use the spec word or whatever. You just
How do you spell Bahalahana? Is it B-A, like
uh,
B-A-H-A?
AHALA and
Nah,
then NA.
N-A. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Jimmy, go. Jimmy was about to say something. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I was almost done with this conversation. I was actually going to say, did you want to switch gears one last moment to something completely off what we're talking about right now? It goes into the ancient history.
Okay, so like 5 minutes because I'm about to hop off and I'm starving. I got to get something to eat. So
Okay.
at
So
least 10 minutes, 5 to
yeah.
10 minutes.
Okay. So we'll leave this as go to my Facebook page. We'll leave this as a teaser for the folks that are still on here because we always got to throw something in to about the ancient world. I love that. I love that stuff. I love that interest. It interests the crap out of me.
Okay, we're on your Facebook page.
All right. So yeah, keep scrolling. Now, before we no, dude, keep going. Okay, actually, let's play this funny video first because this is actually just funny. We're gonna put some humor in here real quick.
Think this is?
I think that it's a slave bracelet. I would like to think that my relatives helped to free the slaves, and that was one of the ones that they freed, or maybe they found. I think that this is the name of the slave holder and then the name of the slave underneath it. Am I right?
It's a dog collar. And so,
Okay, so
Wow.
I thought that was funny. All right, yeah, keep going. Is that the one?
3,000 years ago.
Yes. This is kind of interesting.
1,000 years ago, they were more intelligent than us. Watch this.
You gotta, I can't see. It's so hard to see.
Oh, you go on my Facebook page and watch it.
Oh, like they're prophesying what's going on.
No.
If they didn't have our technology, what did they have? Because 3,000 years ago,
That's a good point.
It just basically
is this-
shows. It just shows all this intricate work and this detail and different things that they use to create healing frequencies with sound. It's just really interesting how advanced they seem to be versus the way we are today. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that is scary.
Well, how would they quarry? Well, say for instance, Baalbek temple in in Lebanon. They have these 40,000 ton megalith stones.
Yep.
How did they were quarried in place 40 feet high?
Yep.
That's we don't have the technology to do it. And the joints between the stones are so close, you can't even put a razor blade between.
Yeah. The precision, the way things were built, it just that rabbit hole has been very interesting.
Did you see that movie, Egypt, Gods and Kings with Gerard Butler?
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, write that down. Gerard Butler. I think the movie is called Gods and Kings.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, that was good.
That's a good
I'm
movie.
writing it down.
It's entertaining.
And I love Gerard, so yeah, watch that movie.
Well, I hope folks enjoyed the video tonight. We tried to keep it on track and full of information. So hopefully with this, we'll do part 2 of the 16-year plan next week.
Yeah.
And then that money thing, yeah, we really got to play that money clip next week. I might just forgo the news blast and be like, hey, let me sacrifice the time. Do y'all want me to, let's ask the chat. Do you want me to forgo the news blast next week so we can play the 24-minute money clip and have discussion about that?
Yes, does it also explain, the Federal Reserve?
Oh, it goes in deep. Once you watch that video, you're going to be like, crap.
Yeah, I think we should. Because it's the exact amount of time that you do for the news segment. It's like 20 something minutes.
Yeah.
And we can just like jump right into that at 9.
Yes.
That's fine with me. I mean, is that what, yeah. Let's see what they hear. Uh-oh. Someone likes the news blast.
Yeah, JG says, I love the news blast. Very informative. John Marciano says, news blast as long as there's no emergency news. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, if there's no wars popping off,
You could do it with 15 minutes. You could just go line item.
Okay, so I'll do it. I'll do it quick.
JG says, let's just plan for a 5-hour live stream. we could go early, like 8 p.m. instead of 9. We can just go early.
I need to keep it at 9.
Okay, so 9. All right, so 9. Maybe we can do like a shorter news. You can just highlight like important news.
Yeah,
and then jump into the video.
Cut out some of the ones that are like, who cares about Jennifer Aniston's gate getting crashed into?
Right. Like, what the heck? I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll condense it.
Okay, awesome. All right, everybody. Everybody got their homework. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Good. Come back next Tuesday. I'm gonna watch that video. And
Bahalahana.
Yeah.
Yep.
What
All right, guys.
Come what may.
Yes. Well, thank you, Fallen. Thank you, Joseph, for hopping on the stream. Always a huge thank you to Jimmy. If it wasn't for Jimmy, I don't know where we would be right now. Trying to navigate through all of this information. And thank you to the chat too. Even though we had a few little trolls here and there, I like them. Just keep it respectful, keep it clean. Definitely let us know where you are at in your political journey so that we can meet you there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind meeting somebody else where they are at and then building from there. Because, we have a great example like Fallen. She's just realizing a lot of this stuff. And we're meeting you there, and we're going to level you up. We're going to continue waking you up, continue bringing you information. Because not everybody has a Jimmy in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, not has... Like, my uncle was a Jimmy for me. My uncle Jerry, he was the one who was planting all of these conspiracy theories in my head. And I used to be like, you're joking. I don't believe that. And then I met Jimmy and I said, oh, there's people out there that actually really do believe that. And Jimmy explained it a little bit more, like in a more serious tone, but it reached, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep it up, keep thinking, keep brainstorming, keep doing your homework. And that's it for me. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, Ruby, for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Appreciate you guys.
Yes. All right, guys. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
See you next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Bye.
Bye.
Trump, yeah, okay, bury him a legend, yeah, Trump, hey, okay, America's biggest blessing, free speech advocate, packing, never lacking it, I just bought another gun and ain't nobody taking it, gang, okay, the White House going crazy now, MAGA season, tell them liberals they can't break us down, it's up, they know we run it, best believe it now, about to paint the city red, please don't burn it down.